It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live.
Live.
Wild Earth takes you on daily intimate experiences in nature live.
This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Join expert guides as they search for Africa's most iconic animals.
How awesome is this? She's coming right past our vehicle. Take a closer look here.
Oh, careful. Oh, no.
Ask your host questions and have them answered in real time. Join us live every day on Wild Earth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and a warm welcome in the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have elephants and elands who are grazing peacefully in this hot savanna. So welcome on board to your very own Safari Live from the African wilderness. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have elephants that are grazing slowly, peacefully walking, and we have elands in the background. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. It's a Friday, so I think they're gathering up here for their weekend. This is super nice to see about 3 families. We have that family there, and I think they're going to be joined by another family. They just come from a watering hole. Or sometimes this might be an extension of the herds, because when these herds becomes big, then they have to split up sometime and the family extend, which is eventually split up to join other new families, but the bond of the group is still the same. So I find that when these herds become big, 2 sisters will split from the matriarch, and then the other sister will carry on to form a small herd. And that herd consists of related family members. So sister, brother, and for that reason you find that the splitting herd, of course the sister that is split from the matriarch will become the new leader of the small herd, depending. So it's nice watching these 2 families here, and I'm going to sit here for a while since this is a very peaceful afternoon, the cloud cover and how they're grazing. So I'm going to take you over to another live location.
Good afternoon and welcome to South Africa. Welcome to the Sabi Sands and specifically Djuma Private Game Reserve. Hello everybody, my name is Steve FAULCONBRIDGE, joined by Theo Islandstyle on camera, and well, as always, very excited to have you with us. Now, you might have noticed a moment before we were looking at a tree. Over here on the top of this tree, it's very nice to see. Very easy tree to identify. The leaves have just come back, but you'll notice that the leaves are occurring in little clusters on the tip of the branches, and they're very, very silver. And yes, you guessed it if you didn't already, there's a silver cluster leaf, the Terminalia sericea. It is a very, very common tree that we find here in the sandy soils, the granitic sandy soils of this part of the Sabi Sands. And it's a very unpalatable tree for most people, but you will find a giraffe feeding on these leaves at this time of year. but very bitter, very taut on the tongue. And if you did eat it, well, it's actually quite unpleasant to be eaten. But when animals need, they definitely do eat it. But nice to see the little tips, very silver. And spring, or should I say summer, has most certainly sprung. The leaves will all get about that big, a little bit bigger. See, they're all pushing out at the end of the stalks. So little clusters. Terminalia, I think to mean to terminate on the end of the branch. And we will be focusing on some more plants today, as well as some migratory birds.
Beautiful, welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve here, where today it's about 85 Fahrenheit, 29 degrees. Spirit shine a little bit open, but the wind is picking up. As my name is Andrew, I'll be with you this afternoon, and on camera, that's Paul on camera. So we'll be just taking a look at that bird. We just see that it looks like it's come back to the different perch, which that is a lilac-breasted roller. It's the most common roller that we see around in this area, in this part of the Kruger National Park area, and that doesn't really migrate. Kendra, good afternoon. Welcome to your beautiful show this afternoon. You want to know if this bird migration? Of course, they don't really migrate. They type of the birds that we see throughout the year, winter, summer, we pretty much find them. And it's one of the beautiful birds, you know, if you compare to most of a roller, which of course is a few different roller that migrate. That's a European roller, those one. Which I haven't actually come across one of these racket roll around here, which they could be somewhere where not close to us. But those one also similar to this. When you look at the tail, it's a little bit of a wire or little of a racket tail at the back. But this, it's a lilac-breasted roller. The color on the throat, it's really magnificent color-looking bird. Looks got his name from as a lilac on their throat, but it's got also a lot of a different color bird. It's got about 7 color difference on that bird. And they mainly feed on insects, such as centipedes, small beetles, and they would go for such as grasshoppers, and they're able to hunt from sitting right in a tree like that. And for that reason, they were able to scan around in them, and then whatever is in the movement, on flight for insects in the point of view, it will be catched. If it's a movement from the ground, which is most also insect, would be catched and feed. And they are day birds, only active during the day, but they nest in the hole. And early in the morning they come out and they do their hunt as they move around. So we're gonna switch you to another safari live as we search for more animals for you.
Lilac-breasted are world-famous birds. Apologies for the wind there, everyone. We've decided to grab or jump off and get a couple of trees. And right here, we've got two very, very cool trees. Very, very similar, in fact. I might have to try and bring one closer to you. But what is very characteristic of them is both of them, the flowers. These are two different trees, but can you see how the flowers are popping out on the end of this little stalk? If you ever do get a sample of a bush and you'd want to identify it, you can't just come to me with a leaf. You need to get flowers, fruit, habitat, bark. You can't just bring this leaf and go, ooh, we'll identify it, because it's not always that easy. But in saying that, this tree over here, let me find a good example of a leaf. This tree over here, where are you? There we go. This leaf has got a very nice twist to it, and this one does not. So we got two bush willows. One is the red bush willow, and this one over here, with a very similar leaf, is the variable bush willow, and they're both very common in this area. The red bush willow, definitely the most common of the bush willows we find out here, and hence why this is called bush willow felt. But very good if you want to identify plants. Get a nice sample like this. This can give you the whole leaf structure, the entire leaf, how it's arranged on the branch. There's a flower or a fruit. Make note of the shape of the tree. Is it a mushroom? Is it small? What color's the bark? And where did you find it growing? That information, very, very important. Is it along the river or is it on the rocks? Because if you don't have that information, it'll be very hard to find it in your book. These two plants look very similar, share very similar habitat, but there are slight differences in the leaves, which will be able to help you to identify the difference between a variable and a red bush willow.
Welcome back to the Masai Mara. I haven't left this sighting yet. The second family has joined in, and you can see the number has increased. Now, we're talking about when family groups increase in number, sometimes it can be beyond the capacity of how the environment is. Sometimes it's because of it's dry, maybe it's too wet, or maybe they have so many babies. So sometimes they split up, and this will force the individual relatives or blood relative to form a family unit. When the related known family groups meet, they engage in an elaborate greeting. Like right now, you can see some of them actually, super playful. So that small one there just joined in, and you can see they were just trunk wrestling there, analyzing the sand. Sometimes they do rumbling, trumpeting, and even twirling around in circles, which is very, very interactive and super nice when you watch these two elephants meet. But the matriarchs who are in control and charge of these families, they are typically what we call the natal core of this family bond, because they're the ones who control what these females, this entire herd do. If in case it means to travel to a good place for water, for grazing, she is the one in charge. So she's the one that is the oldest cow. She is super experienced. And funny thing, when it comes to mating, so this experience and big matriarch, they're the ones that choose a bull that will mate with them, unlike the younger ones who will choose the rest. How cool is this to watch these elephants out here in the wild?
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a blistering hot afternoon here at Tswalu Kalahari, but that is not going to bother us because we are looking at these little guys. I'm so happy to have, have the privilege to see them on my first day back. Incredible sighting. And to see them doing so well is just heartwarming. By the way, guys, my name is MAURITZ. Behind the camera, we've got Glenn this afternoon. So, yeah, beautiful sighting that we have here. Very lucky to have found them because they are very far away from where we found them initially. Following them for these past almost 8 weeks, they made a proper, almost a 35 kilometer loop. Not being back at the same spot. They're actually very close to where we normally start our operations around here, so making it easy for us, Mom. And to see all three of the little ones doing so well and, being so healthy, it's just great. I missed them. After 2 weeks, I started feeling a little bit sad not seeing them every day or every second day. But yeah, guys, as you can see, they are also tucked in underneath a shepherd's tree. So it is nice and warm. We believe it's, well, I haven't really checked, but it's definitely mid to high 30s this afternoon, so quite warm. So Kiara just had a question: how long do cheetahs survive in the wild for? Kiara, it depends. Oh, there's a lot of things that depends on, well, that determines their lifespan in the wild. Things like the environment that they live in. To give you an idea, up in the Masai Mara, cheetahs might live longer than we have over here because we have harsher conditions. You know, it's drier, it's warmer, it's colder during winter. It's not as tropical. There's not as abundant game everywhere. So, but then again, with that being the case, the cheetah numbers, you know, the concentrations here are lower. So competition with one another is also lower. Also, competition with other predators will be lower. So typically, on average, and now keep this in mind, this is across Africa, cheetahs live around, I want to say, maybe 12 to 14 years. So very good life for a cheetah in the wild. However, with them not being so strong, you know, muscle-wise and having thick bones, you know, the density and those types of things, and being a relatively small, large predator, they do not live as long as you'd find with leopards or hyenas or something like that. So I want to say out here in the Kalahari, probably around 10 to 11 years is a better average. But then if you go to places like I said, the Masai Mara or, you know, East Africa, where it's more lush, more abundant game, easier living, you might find them living a little longer. But yeah, these little guys still have a long life ahead of them, luckily. But yeah, guys, we're not going to stay with them for too long. We are going to actually go and look. We didn't see the mom now, so we're not going to stay with these little guys. We're going to go see if we can find her, okay?
There's nothing as cute as watching small, young, baby animals. Look at those elephants. Those cheetahs are also adorable. So those two tiny elephants, look at how playful they are. And of course, this also enhances the bond in a family social unit, because that playful game sometimes will help them in the future as they become independent in a later stage of life. So some of these calves are still suckling. On average, a calf will suckle for about 3 to 5 years, but they start tasting solid food when they're about 3 to 4 months old. Because they lack sufficient coordination of their trunk when they're still young, like that young when they're walking following the mom. When at that age, there's no proper coordination of their trunk as well as the strength to be able to grab solid food. So without the milk, they cannot be that strong, but sometimes they'll be nursed for about 2 years. We can see some carrying on if their mothers don't give birth. When these calves are super young, sometimes you see them walking close to mom, they suckle. It not only provides them with a source of milk, but also provides them with comfort. The mother will allow a calf to suckle after it has experienced a stressful situation. Sometimes you find it's too hot or it's too cold, so the moms will actually suckle them just to comfort them, which is very important for baby animals or even humans when they're small. I see that one has gone to the cousin or maybe brother. See, the Catholics are also enjoying the insects disturbed. And over in the background I can see eland walking slowly. And I'm sure they are also enjoying this grass that is dominant here. We call it the red oat grass. the most dominant grass here in the Mara. So they're just from the marsh and they're walking in this savanna area where they'll be grazing, walking towards the forest. A daily routine that we always look at. That one is circling right now. Okay, that one is about still sucking, even though it looks like about 2 years old. So this is almost towards the end of them being weaned, but you've seen the others go even up to about 4 years and they're still suckling. So this is another way of comfort that I was talking about. So you can't get really well that question, if you can repeat that again. But this family looks like very, very peaceful, quiet, calm, because they've joined each other. 2 split groups that have come together. So I'm still going to hang around here, watch this elephant family as I take you over to another live location.
Beautiful, Tim. Elephants are also one of the wonderful animals to watch, most especially when they do their activity things, feeding around. Here we're back. We have left our beautiful lilac-breasted roller. Along the road we pick up 2 male impalas right in front of us. As you can see them, trying to get as much as they can, feeding on the grasses. It's quite an important time of the year for most grazers and browsers. All they do, they all have to focus on their special diet, with the grasses most, and those are browsers. They have to focus on the new shoots of the leaves, and for these such animals looking at us like that, it's probably just checking on what we are. Of course, there haven't been a lot of a threat of them using vehicles that get used to the car or companies, except for the dangerous animals as impala. But from being 2 of them together like this is because of sometimes the whole herd have been separate from them, and all they do, they just find the whole group of 2 males and they all combine, love one another, look around for safety, feed. At night they'll go into an open patch, rest, and then for that you'll have to also look if it's safe around them. For them to sleep, it's one of the other missions. They sleep unconscious, which means half awake, half asleep. But human, we don't do that. And beautiful, have a beautiful brain for the animals. So I will be leaving these animals moving around, looking for something else. Right, so we're gonna try and search around for anything we can find. And if we could find giraffe, also is very good, which is this area where there's a lot of time if you see impalas, and you know it must be a lot of other general animals around, and they're more likely to all combine, be together, love one another. Rosalind, welcome to your beautiful show this afternoon. You want to know how much louder impalas sound travel, or how big it is. So impala, they have a few different of sound they make. So one of them, it's when they blow their nostrils, but that's very kind of like faintest sound you hear, kind of very like air coming out only. This is when they are pretty much not sure what they're probably playing around. But for these males that do make such a sound where you can travel far away, 2 kilometers away.
Welcome back live to Djuma, everybody, where we've got a little bee eater. How marvellous. And these are common residents. These guys don't migrate anywhere. Oh, well, he goes away, though. Might have just heard him whistling. It sounds like a referee whistle. I can't mimic it. But welcome back. Wonderful afternoon out here. And you might have heard me talking about some trees before and thinking to yourself, what on earth is he talking about? Now, tree identification takes a bit of practice, but I suppose it all starts with the basics. So we're going to go back to our first little branch that we had, and we're going to have a look at what we call a leaf, a simple leaf. Now, here is the actual stem of the branch, and there's another stem over there, and you need to look inside over there. There's that white little piece. You see that little bit there? That is called the axillary bud or auxiliary bud. That is the growth point. You can see on either side of this leaf is the growth bud, which means that this entire piece over here, I'm going to pull it off for you now. This entire piece here is a leaf. I know that might sound quite obvious, but it means that this is one leaf. Now, that is a simple leaf. Very easy to identify a simple leaf because you can see where the bud grows. If we look back where I ripped it off, you can actually see where the bud is growing. There is the bud just above where I broke it. And that is often where you get new leaves, where you get flowers popping out, all that sort of thing. Now, secondly, if you have a look at the one just below, you'll see that these two leaves are opposite to each other. There's one on this side, one on the other side, completely opposite. So that is the arrangement. Now, when I said before, you can't just bring one leaf and think someone's going to identify it. Arrangement is very important. Sorry about the wind. Which makes this a simple leaf with opposite arrangement. Now, with all of that information, with a few more questions, you'll probably be able to find out what this is, especially when you've got a wonderful flower like this, which is growing from that auxiliary bud as well. Okay, so that's very interesting. Let's just put this flower down, and then I'll show you a different leaf structure altogether. Donovan, that's a very important question, in fact. Juices, when you rip off a leaf, it's quite important to try and look and see if there is a latex of some sort or a milky latex, and to measure that. Now, here we've got a very different leaf altogether. I'm going to put it this way so that it's not blowing. Now, if I open this up over here, and you try and look in between there's no bud at the bottom by my thumb. There's no bud over there. And if we keep going up, there's no bud anywhere, which means there is the bud over there by my other finger. This finger here, there's the bud at the base, which makes this entire thing here the leaf. I'm going to rip it off. Now that is a compound leaf. That entire thing is basically a leaf that's divided itself for many reasons. And the arrangement of this divided leaf is alternate, like a ladder. And you see it's a bit ladder-like. Sorry about the wind. Ladder-like, it's quite droopy. So this is called a leaflet, and the entire thing is a leaf. So this is called a compound leaf. The other one is called a simple leaf. And this compound leaf is divided once. Now you might think, what on earth is he talking about, divided once? I will show you in a moment. We've got a few more plants that we're going to deal with today, but you're just going to have to come back and see.
So guys, just have a look quickly. I mean, we've got some incredible landscape over here at Tswalu. Just the vastness and, you know, standing on top of a dune, having a sundowner. The sun's not quite down here yet, but having a sundowner on top of these dunes with that view in front of you is just incredible, if you can imagine that. But what baffles me at the moment is not too long ago we had all of these, you know, almost snow-covered blackthorn trees with all their white little flowers. And in a matter of 2 weeks, there is not a single flower on any blackthorn tree anymore. It just amazes me how quickly the bush can go through these cycles. And, you know, the good thing about that is as soon as the blackthorn trees then drop their flowers, that's when the leaves are going to come through and the seed pods. So lots of good browsing coming up. But yeah, I mean, as far as the eye can see, that's Tswalu. So, I mean, you can imagine sometimes having a game drive, and we have to get to the southern side of the reserve. You drive for 3 hours almost just to get there. But we're going to go look for those cheetahs now, guys. So we'll let you know if we have something.
Welcome back to the Mara, and I can see our herds are splitting up. One family going in one direction and the other one going to the other direction. But then some calves are super playful, but now they've stopped. You can see the some to the right there. It's only that the grass is too high, but they were playing before and pushing each other, chasing one another, which is very important from an early age of elephants, depending on what sex, the males and the females. So playful, and that would really helps. But then there's a time that it differs, because female calf have a different focus because they remain in the natural herds. So they are continuously exposed to the matriarch's knowledge because they never leave these herds. So they'll stick around for as long as time. Sometimes they never leave. Hey Dash, thank you so much. What a good question from my 11-year-old. So it depends with the environment, but sometimes this herd can be up to 30, 40, but they can extend even to 100. I've seen a herd of about even 56. So this is about 29 here, which is very, very nice to see. So I was talking about when the females, because they don't leave the natural herd, they follow the matriarch's command and they're exposed to her knowledge, while the young ones are super adventurous. That's why you saw a little bit earlier when the males were pushing off each other, because they'll later in the stage when they become adolescent, they leave these herds or the natural herds, so they have to be adventurous at times. So as these elephants are walking by, I'm going to carry on as I take you over to another live location.
Beautiful. So we now just look at this single, looks like it for now, single male giraffe. Far distance, it's actually quite far from where we are right now. It's actually a ravine right in front of us. We're on the western side of a quarantine area. Some of those are familiar with the land, but for such a male giraffe, you know, for him to be able to wander around, this is actually about looking for new shoots. We were talking when we talk about impalas. Every time they look, this type of animal, they get attracted by most of the green, so that's why they don't actually static. They don't stand for long. Every time they look further from them, they see beauty. So wherever they are, they're right on that spot. They think it's not beautiful anymore, so they keep them moving. You see that happen on cows. Also, goat, who spend a lot of time with their own gut, look around, check their behavior, what they do, and there's a green. They seems to be pushing too much when there's no wind also. And that's what makes them love about sense of hearing what's around them. Could be more giraffe around in this area, but for now we only see one individual male. But they can separate sometimes, be on their own. Female does the same. Male, as we see right now there. I only check now when I look at this beautiful, thick and bolt on top of this horn, and I know we're looking at the male even as far from us. So we'll I'm gonna stick around here, see if there's more of giraffe coming out of that area. Otherwise, it will be beautiful. Just search around for anything else.
Welcome back to Botany 101 this afternoon. And, well, we've detailed a very simple leaf. We'll get more into detail about that now. Don't worry too much about identification. And we've done a compound leaf, and now we're going to do a bicompound. Now you're thinking to yourselves, what on earth is this man talking about? Here we've got, once again, you'll see that this entire piece over here is the leaf. The growth point is at the
Good. Very deep in with this giraffe, so I'm happy. Sorry about that. And we still, well, there's some beautiful giraffe, but now it looks like it's very much looking around. Even they're so big animals, they still have a lot of enemy, which is most lion take down giraffe, and that happens when they get stalked by these lions. And of course, especially when they run, there's a chance they might be bring down, if it's a chance, but they also use their unique as they run, they can, step on whatever it is, or kill whatever it is trying to chase them. So they have a very strong defensive mechanism, which is a kick. And for that kick, they don't only use the back leg, but both leg would you use this kicking system. We're looking at this giraffe from this far. You would see a lot of a pale on their ears, and this is what's also one of their follow me or find one another or separate far apart, which they're capable of doing that. Even a female, when she's trying to raise the baby, it's happened she left the baby probably about 100 meters and returned back to their young one, give her the milk, and they walk away again. So that type of animal that they don't, when they're in a group, they're in a group. When they're not in a group, it's fine, and they will still survive in that way. We're looking at the southern giraffe, the species which occur in this area. Now you just look, but since it's a lot of wind, I'm gonna stick around here a little bit more.
From the giraffe now to our elephants who are still on the move. So a vehicle just went by. Some other people also coming to enjoy this beautiful sighting of elephants. Now the other herd has split up, and this second herd is still on the move. You can see that young one catching up. Now when they have the young ones, they have to walk in a very slow pace because these little ones cannot keep up the pace. And sometimes they'll take turns to rest, to stop where they carry on grazing. See the young ones come to circle their mothers, as then they carry on. The cattle eagles are still enjoying. They keep on following these herds until dusk, where they'll return to their nesting or roosting places. So along these walks, they have to come to a place where they have to drink water, and the elephants require fresh water daily. And this is so helpful, especially in this time of the year when it's it's very, very important because water provides them, hydrates them, because they need that in their daily lives, because at this time of the year it's getting dry, and then in the dry condition elephants will be extraordinary. Rarely have to go on a drinking spree because they have a good high sense of smell. They have a good knowledge of where to go and find water. So this matriarch, the big one you can see out there, she's the one that will lead her unit, a family unit, to go and find water. You can see them, lots of them have very shiny tusks, and the one with the long tusk is actually the matriarch. So let me stick around with this herd and follow them, see where they're going, as I take you over to another live location.
Guys, so have a look at what we just found. This is quite the surprise for us, because typically we don't see them during the day. Look at that brown hyena. He was lying just in the shade of the tree over there. And, you know, it has to be something like he went out foraging or scavenging for too far during the night, and the heat just got to him before he could get back to his den site. With brown hyenas, we don't often see that happening. You know, you'll see that with the spotties quite often, where they go out and you'll just find one of them lying in close to a waterhole during the day, or underneath a tree or so, far away from the den site. That I've seen quite a bit in the Lowveld with the spotted hyenas. But with the brown hyenas, typically they time their movements where you find them being back at the den in the mornings. So this is an awesome surprise. It is far away, guys, so I mean, we are completely zoomed in at the moment. And as you can imagine, with him being so shy, so we just had a question from Kaylee. How big is the brown hyena population at Tswalu? That's a difficult question to answer, you know, exactly. Just because with them, they are such secretive animals. That you almost, it's like trying to estimate a leopard population in an area. There's some of these animals that go their entire life without being seen by humans, just because they are so shy. However, judging by the amount of tracks and individuals that we have seen, if you have to now do a rough estimate about that in the reserve, I'd say it's going to be a healthy one, absolutely healthy. Number-wise, maybe around 50, 60 of them. And remember now, guys, so they operate in a clan, so they'll have a den site where they go back to, and everyone meets there and says hello and so on. But when they go out looking for food, they are always by themselves. They're not like spotties, which go out together and then hunt and so on. So these guys, they don't often, well, if they do hunt, it's going to be small things like maybe a scrub hare or a mouse or something like that. They don't go and pull down oryx or, you know, gemsbok or red hartebeest or so on, because they don't have the numbers for it. They're also slightly smaller than a spotted hyena, which is because another reason why they have to be so shy. Boof, there he's dropping to the ground. But yeah, so tough to say an exact estimate of the population number in Tswalu, but it is a very healthy one. So I'd say maybe, if I had to make a guess, probably around 50, 60. So yeah, guys, we're going to stick with him for a little while, see if he doesn't want to, you know, pop his head up again or so, or possibly start moving. But for the meantime, we're going to send you off somewhere else, okay?
Welcome to and Beyond Ngale, everybody. Afternoon safari. As you can see, we managed to find some lions. So here we got one of the old females from the Birmingham Pride. There comes another one. This is one of the younger ones. coming to just say hello. So this afternoon you'll be with myself, Sean. We've got OD behind the camera. And as I said, we're now sitting with 11 members of the Birmingham Pride. You can see over my head, over there, there's 3 more. Some of the young males. Some of the 2 young males there, the one with the head up and the one in the middle. 2 of the younger ones, and then on the end there, oh, look at that. That's beautiful. They're actually a lot more active at the moment than I was expecting. It does look quite shady here, but it's actually very hot. I think we're sitting at, I don't know, about 28, 30 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but I think it's about the 80s. But these lions have been moving around. They've been standing up. They've been grooming. We've seen quite a lot of activity for this time, which has been really awesome. This is the first time I've seen so many of them all together since I've been back. Look at that young white female. Seems to be, I think she's licking the grass there. Now we were talking about, I think at the Masamara, you're saying the brown hyenas walking around this time of the day, quite unusual. And for these lions here, as I was saying, to be so active, also very unusual. But what she's doing there is trying to lick the moisture off of the grass. So that where she is in the shade under a bush. There might be a little bit of dew left there, especially on the deeper, darker parts, hasn't dried up yet. Trying to lick that, or maybe she's got an upset stomach, trying to eat the grass, or help her sort of throw up, regurgitate, get rid of anything that's upsetting her stomach. And we'll see in a few minutes' time if she does start to sort of dry heave, throw up, then we know if she was licking or eating. So awesome to see them all looking very healthy. She's been, as usual, the most active, the most vibrant, done the most activity. Surprisingly not against anyone else. She hasn't been trying to play with any of the other lions. Maybe she's maturing a bit. Becoming more independent. It's also those 2 young cubs that we saw in July are not here. Okay, so we got a question. Didn't quite catch the name, but asking, what does the function of the little white stripe under the eyes do? Like, why is it there? And you can see on this line, even on a white line, you can see how sort of, what's the word? How much it stands out. And it's for hunting. It's for hunting. So remember, lions are nocturnal animals. They hunt at night. And what that white stripe does is reflects any moonlight, any starlight into these lions' eyes, so they have much better night vision. Now, if you'll see something, lions, leopards, that's what they have, that white stripe under their eyes, because they both hunt at night. If you look at something like a cheetah, which is a daytime hunter, a wild dog, hunts in the day, around their eyes it's black to absorb that light to help them see better in the day. It doesn't, like our cricketers use. If you look at a predator like this, you can see white under the eyes. Okay, cool. Nighttime hunters.
How marvellous that we are able to see the Birmingham Pride. What a wonderful pride they are indeed. Well, you're back with us in June, and I'm sorry if we lost you earlier, and I don't know how much of my story you got, but here we have got another plant. I've basically just gone and ripped off this plant here, very sustainably, of course. And to find the leaf on here, I've ripped off another branch. And now, if we have a look down these leaves here, I can't see any auxiliary bud. No, but all the way at the bottom. Can you see this one here, Theo? Can you see that little growth point there? Just a little tip. That is the auxiliary bud, which means this entire thing here is the leaf. So with that last one that we saw, let me just rip that off. Now, if you have a look, each leaflet is then divided again. So this is a leaf, that is a leaflet, and that is a even smaller leaflet. I don't even know what the name is. A pinny, as it's called, pinny. So that is divided twice. Once, twice. Can you see that? Now, in comparison to the leaf that I showed you before, can you see that this one is divided once? One on this side, and this side divided twice. Now, it's very important because when you identify them, if it's divided once or twice, it's important for identification. And we've got a second one right over here that is loaded with thorns. And once again, it's got exactly the same type of structure. Now, if I rip off that leaf again, all the growth points are happening right over there. All the growth is happening. I'm going to rip this off without hurting myself because this is a nasty... Ow. Now, once again, here is the leaf. There's the leaflet. And then it's divided once again. So now can you see how these two look very similar to each other? Very, very similar. But if you don't recognize that there's something going on the plant, the one that I harvested now, look at those nasty, nasty thorns. You wouldn't want to get that in your foot, let alone in your mouth.
Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm and windy welcome to Anbion's Pinda Private Game Reserve, where this afternoon we have found two white rhino busy grazing out in the open grasslands of the very far western section of this reserve. In fact, there's two more off down below them. My name is Matt, and behind the camera we've got Gerrit this afternoon, and we've come in search of cheetah out in the open areas. But we haven't had any luck with them so far. But we have found these white rhino who, contrary to what people say about them not being fond of wind, they, I think, are making the most of this very green, lush grass that you see in the picture. This area was all burnt a couple of weeks ago, and with the good rains that we've had so far, it's converted it. This grass is almost like a luminous green, very lush, very nutritious as they walk through these open areas, busy grazing. The other two that I spoke of are a little bit further away off in a dip, but these two are also disappearing. I'm going to drive a little bit further forward quickly just so you can get them in picture with their heads down. As I start the car, you see that one would have lifted its head. Very, very sensitive ears. And you can see now they've both stopped feeding with us, coming a little bit closer to them. I'm going to... There we are. That's a little bit better. With their... Now that we've switched off, they've resumed feeding. Donovan, you're asking how much a rhino will eat during the day. Quite a bit. I mean, an animal that weighs up to 2 tons will consume a fair bit of grass during the day. A good, I'd say, 25 odd kilograms of grass. Yeah, they just graze, and you can see them with their head down. They've got that massive sort of muscular mass on the back of their necks to support their heads. But they'll consume quite a bit of grass during the day, about 120 pounds if you're asking from a different system, Donovan. You can see also these two have a fair bit of growth on their horns. Obviously we here on Pinda dehorn our rhinos just as a safety measure, because sadly of the demand for rhino horn. But yeah, they are actually with their, now funnily enough, eating with their backs to the wind. Quite often you'll find them grazing into the wind so they can smell things as they move through with their heads down. But these two doing the opposite. And still, yeah, like I said earlier, quite windy, very quiet in terms of bird calls. I can hear a rattling cisticola in the distance. But no oxpeckers on the backs of these two. Sometimes you'll find things like western cattle egrets that will follow them as well, being such large animals that kick up a bit of insects, grasshoppers and the likes that they then go feed on. but these two quite happy to just get stuck into this lush green grass here this afternoon in the open plains.
So, okay guys, we were lucky enough to have this guy move his position slightly. So a little bit around the corner in a more shady spot, actually dug himself a little, almost like a little trench to get to the cold sand. And when he settled in there, he actually allowed us to come a little closer. Still staying on the road, but just get a little closer to him. And as you can see, he is out for the count at the moment, quite hot. Those ears still pointing and listening constantly. However, the flies are bothering him a little bit. But yeah, just very special to have this sighting during the day. You know, it's like I said earlier, it's not something that we often see during daytime. Yeah, maybe early morning on their way back, but then that's a quick sighting and they take off. This is quite special to be able to see this and to be able to share it with all of you. You know, it's such a privilege to be able to show you guys these things. So Randy just had a question. Is this hyena going to be a threat to the baby cheetahs? Randy, absolutely. So there's unfortunately always that risk factor for the mom to leave the babies by themselves. Luckily, you know, with this guy, he's not going to move anywhere at the moment. However, when he does get active, maybe around sunset, when it starts cooling down, that's when the risk will go up. So definitely he's going to be a risk, but not currently just because he's quite lazy at the moment, but they will be. If they come across these cubs without the mom being there, they're going to kill them, unfortunately. You know, it's cancelling out competition. But yeah, guys, just like I said, a privilege to share it with all of you, and thank you for joining us. You know, you make our lives a little easier to be able to have you enjoy these sightings with us, and keep doing so. Remember to send your questions to us if you're using Twitter or YouTube using the hashtag WildEarth, so that we can answer all of your questions for you. And just, you know, incredible to be able to share this live safari with you in Africa from all of the different locations. So quite beautiful. But yeah, we're going to stay with the brown hyena for a little bit, see if it's going to wake up and start moving, and we'll let you know.
Okay, so now we've repositioned the vehicle a little bit. And we've got these two cuddling nicely. As you can see, the one sort of facing us, the one on the right-hand side, that's the young male I was speaking about. You can see he's actually starting to get quite a bit of a mane going under his neck there, his chin area, even there behind his ears. You can see that darker, longer fur. Grown a lot since I last saw them. Actually getting very, very large, but still very relaxed, very comfortable. Very happy lions, these two just cuddling here together. So, as I said, there's 11 of them here, and the other 9 are all sleeping on the other side. And then these two just decided, you know, we got all of the shade. Why should we leave? Here we go. Now you can see the other 9 of them trying to hide under that one little bush or shade. And just making a mess of it, really. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, all in that sort of central middle pile where you can see all the paws in the air. There's 5 lions inside of there, including the white male. And then just off to the right, Odie, if you would just scan a little bit to the right there, the one with the back to us, that is the young Birmingham male. The one that everyone has grown quite attached to. And this man's even got his own Instagram profile. So he's doing pretty well. Hopefully he will get up and walk for you. He walked for us a little bit earlier. No limp. Well, very, very slight limp. But it's still really nice to see him with the pride, see him with everybody, looking good, looking fresh. We had tracks of the Ross males crossing out of Ngala this morning. So they're not yet. As I was saying, everyone looking very good, very healthy. You can see if you look at her stomach, not too full. You know, slow breathing. She's not panting. And so I think they still need a hunt. They probably ate a couple of days ago. But we got another question from, I think it was Light, something like that. I couldn't really hear. But anyway, wanting to know how long until these young males get kicked out. So, look, generally, the males will get kicked out at about 2.5 to 3 years old. Let's say between 2 and 3 years old is when they'll get kicked out. Now, these ones here are between 1.5 and 2 years. So, it's not going to be too long. Not going to be too long. Then you also got to bear in mind that the young male over here, the one with the limp, he's almost like 4 years old now, 3.5, 4, and he's still here. So when I say generally, your average lion will leave between sort of 2 and 3, but they might stay a bit longer. You know, I think in this situation, because we have 3 young males of 1.5 to 2 years old, they should leave at the normal age because they can go off together. It's going to be a very strong coalition. These 3 guys, they're big. I mean, that white male, he's going to be a large lion. They're going to be quite a dominating coalition when they do get to 5, 6 years old. And perhaps the other young male will go with them. And then they got 4 of them with his size, their size. They could be a very dominating coalition. So the next year and a half will be very interesting. Will be very interesting to see what happens. We've actually seen quite a change in the line dynamics down in Ngala. The Birmingham Pride themselves have been pushing a lot further sort of south and east, sort of across into the Manyeleti and into the Kruger National Park. Oh, there's one moving on the right-hand side here. So this is one of those young females, the one that was cuddling the young male. There she goes. I'm going to duck my head a little bit here. Sorry. Of course, she stops right. Sorry, let me move. She stopped right in front of the car for a toilet break there. Most likely, though, is going to get up and carry on to the other group of lions over here. Leave this young male by himself. Because if you look, you can see there a bit of sun shining on his face, a bit of sun shining on his stomach, perhaps getting a bit hotter. And that's why they are getting up and moving to this other patch of shade. There's a nice breeze at the moment, which is really good. So what's letting these lions being able to move around and see the amount of activity that we are seeing. You see that? She literally just went and lay in the middle of 5 lions. And they're very, very social animals. I mean, I'm sure you've heard me say it many number of times, how social lions are. And this is just the perfect example. Lying on top of each other, head on each other, or a paw on the other one, but a lot of contact. And that contact's very important. Even for that female with the young white male, you know, she's going to stay in the pride, he's going to leave. But still, it's going to be 6 months, 8 months, a year until that happens. So it's good to form these relationships. They will start hunting now. They're getting to that age where they can join the adults on a hunt, especially something like a wildebeest, a kudu, a zebra. These lions would go and they would help these younger ones. You know, maybe a buffalo. Now we're thinking it might be a bit big. You know, buffaloes are very dangerous prey. Even a giraffe, very, very dangerous. But here these youngsters might still hold back in a situation like that. But they're starting to learn. They're starting to join. It's a very exciting time. This, obviously, when they're small, it is adorable. So when they are young, it is the most adorable, like those ones that we saw during the lockdown. But at this age, when they're social like this, as the comments are saying, is a little cuddle puddle from Fluff Tycoon, I think, said, a little cuddle puddle. That's exactly what it is. You can just see 1, 2, 3, 4 different paws in the air. Just all of the lions trying to get comfortable, trying to find a space where they fit in. The perfect thing for them. Look at that. It's almost the exact same position, just shadowed. And lions will often do this, sleep like that, especially after they've eaten, just to take some pressure sort of off of their stomach, off of their bodies. In a situation like this, though, the legs in the air, maybe getting a bit of a breeze flowing across the stomach, trying to help cool them down. I think they're looking very lazy. So I think myself and the OD also going to try and cool off and just sit here and see what happens.
Welcome back, everybody, to and beyond Panda Private Game Reserve. From resting lions to a very interesting sighting of 2 secretary birds that are resting in the middle of the road here this afternoon. They were, when we initially saw them at quite a distance away, busy skulking about in the road looking for snakes and things like that to eat. They've now, just found themselves happy in the middle of the road, busy resting. And it'll be interesting to see. You sometimes see birds having a bit of a dust bath. You see the one on the right busy preening itself at the moment, if they won't sort of ruffle a bit of sand on their backs. But beautiful birds of prey, these. It's nice to actually see them standing still for once. You see the crown on the back of their heads, that red and yellow around their eyes, massive bills, and hidden below them are those really, really long legs that they use to catch things like snakes out in the open grasslands. It was initially a black rhino that brought us to this area, who has subsequently disappeared. That when I was trying to show Gerrit through the binoculars, he actually found these 2 that have now, as you can see in picture, plunked themselves down on the ground. And like I was saying just now, it's really nice to actually see them sitting down where you can appreciate them a little bit better than normal. And really, really tall birds. They stand about 1.2, 1.3 meters tall when they're busy walking or skulking about through the grass. But these 2, and you see the one on the left looking down and constantly looking around. I must be honest, I don't think I've ever seen this behavior. But now looking at the one on the right, it looks a little bit dirtier than the one on the left. Maybe had a little bit of a dust bath, or could potentially be a younger or a juvenile secretary bird on the right hand side. Kimberly, you commenting on the fact that they're sitting down like that? I have never seen that, unless it's sort of perched on a nest, but never like this on the ground. But quite often you'll see things like guinea fowl and other birds having a bit of a dust bath, which neither of these 2 have done, unless we missed it on our way here to come and have a look at them. But I too have never seen this behavior from them, just resting in the middle of the road. Has been quite a hot, windy afternoon. Maybe they've been walking through this grassland for the most part of the afternoon and are just taking a bit of a rest. But we'll wait and see, and maybe they get up in a heartbeat. Maybe they stay where they are for a while. But really, really interesting behavior. C-Mac, you're asking the wingspan of the secretary bird. It's between about 190 and 215 odd centimeters, in feet about 75 to 85 inches. So a really, really large bird, both, I mean, as it stands and walks about in the grass and then in flight. But when they do fly, they drag those. It's quite interesting to watch how they drag those legs of theirs behind almost effortlessly. Really, really large, not quite the heaviest flying bird. That title goes to the Kori bustard, which you might find at a place like Ngala or Djuma up in the Sabi Sands. But yeah, these two, interestingly enough, are quite content where they are in the middle of the road. I'm not going to carry on, because further off to our right-hand side was where we saw that black rhino. I'll leave them be for now, or maybe try and loop around this area to see if we can't get a view of that black rhino that I mentioned. But fascinating to just sit and watch them. They haven't done that dust bathing like I mentioned earlier. Just constantly keeping a lookout. And as one would imagine, birds being, or especially them, quite vulnerable. They'll roost up in trees and nest up in trees, usually quite thick trees. And when they sit down, you are unable to see them at all. But where they are now, you know, if something like a leopard were to come along and saw them, it would definitely try and put up a bit of a chase. Something like a cheetah as well, there's an opportunity there. Very, very vigilant, these two. The one on the right still doing a bit of grooming and preening of its feathers. Just because it hasn't quite reached that dark, the one on the left, that very sort of distinct black and white feathers. Tend to think that that's a juvenile, and the one on the left, the adult. We're going to stick around here and see if these two don't get up and start moving around. Otherwise, maybe loop around, like I said, and see if we can't find that black rhino this afternoon off to our right-hand side.
From the sacred birds to our striped zebras, I like calling them the donkeys in football jersey, because they're so much like they're wearing jersey on a football game. Now, this herd are the migratory ones, and they are slowly heading back to Tanzania. But during the migration time, they become the last ones to follow the herds and get into Tanzania, and sometimes others will mix up with the herds, with the wildebeest, and carry on to Tanzania. But they are slowly taking their pace because it's short grass. It rained a little bit about 2 days ago, so they are still enjoying this grass, but slowly heading over to Tanzania. Now, this small herd here is led by some stallions who really play a good job in security. They watch over for predators, and you hear sometimes them calling over when one of the members is left out. So they control about 11 mares, so they'll be in charge, and if an intruder comes in, they're always fought off unless he's challenged by the intruder, who sometimes will come and kill the foal because he doesn't want that gene to carry on. Just like lions, how they'll come, take over a pride and kill the pride cubs if they're too small. So when the wildebeest are here, they'll come eat the long grass, the tall grass, and then the medium will be eaten by the zebra. You can see they're very much enjoying this grass, swishing their tails, overlapping each other as they walk. This is also a preferred area because the grass is short, so they can have a 360 angle where they can be able to watch over for predators. We've seen lots of kills. We've seen zebra, wildebeest killed, and that is because the lions are able to ambush them in the long grasses. So sometimes when the zebras are walking by themselves, well, they're walking alone, they prefer the short grass plains where at least they can have security. When there's a heightened alert, they all run away from the predators. And sometimes they also utilize the roads when they're walking, which is a clever way of avoiding predators. I like the way the light is shining on them, and we have a dark background. Super photogenic. Some of these mares are pregnant and they're about to give birth, like that one there. Maybe by November, which is most of the time we see them giving birth around November, December. So some of them will be dropping their foals. And they're known also to be nursing even though they're pregnant. So sometimes you might see a zebra who's pregnant and still nursing a foal. So I'll leave these guys to enjoy the grass while I go carry on to find some more game as I take you over to another live location.
Beautiful. The zebra is always one of those beautiful striped animals. You will never stop looking at them, looking at their beauty. So now we come to this very waterhole. Chitwa waterhole. It's a whole bunch of hippo. Still, trying to get active around there. So it's a whole bunch of them there. I see more than probably 4 or 5 of them. And one of the young one also trying to play around the bigger one. So this is the best time of the day for them to be able to rest. And in the dark again, they will probably head out. And there's also, inside there's a croc, which is also sun up. It's a beautiful croc actually, look at this. You can able to see its teeth properly. So now, hippo and a crocodile, they won't get along, but there we don't see any of interaction behavior. It's just because of that, every time, prey species see a dangers, for a long time they even take it easy, or they're even more aware because they have a sight of a danger. So these hippo won't leave their young one near that croc at all, because croc, they are carnivore, they eat meat. They're probably gonna kill anything they can. Young hippo will be taken by that croc. So that's why they're now gonna have to try and move maybe far apart from that position of a hippo. So croc, they use a technique of hunt. Probably they're just sunning up because the sun has come out properly and they all warm up there. And they will eat anything they can in this waterhole. Probably catfish and tilapia type of fish are here. And this is what makes these crocs survive. And also, anything come to drink. Antelope. Size from gnu or wildebeest. Oh, look at this yawn. Look at that. That's a beautiful yawn there. So size of a gnu or wildebeest, zebra, any of antelope, impalas, that croc will be very much interested on hunting them. So all they do is that they got in the water and pretend like they're a log. This is how they do, but they also approach slightly slow, but carefully do that because some meat down and then they all appear up close to the prey species. And they finally caught their prey, and that's how they have their meal. A lot of time their prey dive or drown from the water, losing oxygen, then died. But feeding methods, crocodile able to share if it's a bigger thing. Like impalas, of course, they all get around and wrap it apart as much as they can. And then it swallowed up. They don't really much chew in it. That's why hardly to see a proper tongue on this animal. When they do cut a chunk, they just swallow it up immediately. Ron, welcome to Wildlife Show, your channel. You want to know how long croc can go without meal. That I'm not 100% sure. Because of that, they don't really, rely on the bigger things. They also go for fishes and everything, but they've been seen traveling from one place to another, and that took for that crocodile 3-4 days to reach the destiny of another proper waterhole. I think was something to do with when one of the waterhole was dried out, and then they have to go look for other waterholes. For that, they have a very good sense of smell to be able to deduct, also to tell how far the other waterhole is. And that croc has been seen 3 days, and they're moving, and when they get tired of moving in, of course, they rest in shade. So they could take anything from probably, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 days, but then they need to eat. And you remember, they only eat. Proper hunt for them is when they're in the water. In land, maybe when they scavenge, come across something that killed by the others or died, of course they'll go in and feed on that. But otherwise, they won't hunt outside the water. It's called Nile crocodile, and this is pretty much of a crocodile species we get around in this area. And I'm gonna stick around here, see what if there's anything come to drink while we're around here, otherwise we'll move.
From the Nile crocodile to our migratory herd, look at this. Look at how beautiful this is. They're just walking in big numbers. Just listen to the sounds as they're walking. I just go silent for a little bit so that you can hear that beautiful sound. So I would like to say these are among the last herds that we have here, and they're making their journey back to Tanzania. But it's going to take them at least about 2-3 days before they get to the border. But if they're walking at this pace, I'm sure they're going to take about 2 days. There's just a few zebras amongst them, so we'll follow them in case of security, which they play a very important role when they mix herd. Previously, I had seen this herd just close to the river, and I thought they were going to cross over to the other side. But because most of the herds have headed over to the border side, where we have alongside the Ololo escarpment, so these ones have already been forced to take a turn and head back. If these herds go by about a week, we'll not be having big herds like this until maybe next year, time like this, when we'll be also heading back. So these are always a beautiful spectacle where when they're here, and lions, leopard, hyenas, cheetah, they come to a feast because of how these herds play an important role in making sure that the predator numbers are in control. They have more food, especially now that we have the river pride. They've enjoyed so much taking down zebras, taking down wildebeest. So some of the predators will follow these herds, especially the lions that have been kicked out from their pride, lions that are not yet established their territory. They always follow these herds. I mean, sometimes we also see hyenas, even cheetahs following these herds. It's very interesting how they're walking because they're also avoiding the forest. They're just following the river, the forest there, but they can't. Sometimes they avoid the forest because sometimes there might be predators at this time of the day. So I'm just watching keenly how they're just diverting off and walking to a different direction as they not get into the forest. But if one of them manages to get into the forest, they'll all take course. Charles, thank you so much for your question. Sometimes these beards will play a very good role because when, let's say, a lion catches one, they can actually manage to take off because it's not grabbed the skin. So it's very, very good in terms of predation, avoiding predators. Because sometimes the predators might miss out on the neck and grab the beard, and the wildebeest might make an escape. So wildebeest don't have a designated leader. So if one stops, the other one overlaps, and see what has happened. They've all come to a stop. And the zebras right now, they're actually watching over, looking, scanning for predators. Because these animals are also wary of predators. So whenever they're walking in big numbers, be it alone, they'll also be very vigilant when it comes to security because they know there are predators in there.
There's back. Welcome back, everybody, to And Beyond Pinda, where in your picture you should just be able to see the back of a black rhino above the buffalo that you are looking at. It's on quite a steady mission, walking from left to right, stopping every now and again to scent mark, and that's what we saw from a distance earlier. Quite interesting to see now. Those two bulls. There was the black rhino bull and then a white rhino bull that met up, didn't really do much to one another, and carried on their territorial patrols, which was quite interesting. Sometimes you might see them have a bit of an interaction, but this occasion not. They just walked straight past one another with a herd of buffalo as an audience below. Now you can sort of just see its back but so well hidden in these quarry trees. I mean, its back's probably a little bit lower than the height of that. We're lucky because we're at a bit of a height advantage here, but I'm sure it's stopping to browse as it goes along. This black rhino, flicker the ear every so often, but you can see this, the herd of buffalo, like I was saying earlier, with animals usually sort of grazing into the wind, are all feeding in amongst these quarries this afternoon. That black rhino, I'm really hoping will just venture into a patch where we can stand and appreciate it, see the difference, the noticeable differences between them and the white rhino, the hooked and the square lips, the saddles on their backs, and just the size of them. Black rhino a lot more compact than the white. There it starts to walk again now, off to the left-hand side. John, you're asking how long a rhino horn takes to grow back. So I'd say about 6 to 8 centimeters every year. And, that's quite a bit of growth. So every about 2.5 years, closer to 3 years, they'll then go and shave those horns off again. And there you can see that it's done an unbelievable job of finding that black rhino, because they are really tricky to see. But there it is, standing in amongst these quarry thickets. Quite a significant growth of its horn. But compared to those white rhino that we were with earlier, very well hidden, out of sight and out of mind. And where it is now would offer a little bit more protection from the wind. You can see those quarries or eucalyptus blowing quite a bit in this wind this afternoon. This wind has been howling all day here and beyond Phinda. Just taking a bit of a break. It's been scent marking as it's gone along, so you might see a bit of almost looks like a mist spray every so often from the back of this black rhino. But if it lifts its head, you spoke about that noticeable hooked lip, might just be able to see it now as it walks off. Those ears also just fine-tuned, listening out for anything very, very sensitive. Ears, very sensitive sense of smell as well, as it pauses briefly, and it couldn't have chosen a better spot for us to see it. If it was 2 or 3 meters left or right of where it is, we probably wouldn't see it at all. Amazing. There was that herd of... There's another vehicle... Sorry, I'm stopped my train of thought there. There was another vehicle coming to approach us now, and it's lifted its head now, where you can see both those horns now quite clearly. But the herd of buffalo below them, up in the grasslands behind them, there are quite a few white rhino as well that we saw coming in here. And I think all these animals just really appreciating this lush green grass. And here in the more mountainous areas, there's, with the water that runs off the mountains, the grass is a little bit more nutrient rich for these animals and offer a bit more or better grazing, should I say, for them. And the buffalo that are walking towards them, this black rhino has stopped where it is now to just take a minute to rest. Buffalo below, and we really are spoiled here this afternoon as we sit and watch it. Not much of an interaction between the white and the black rhino that we saw earlier, which was quite interesting. But just super chuffed that it has now stopped in a spot where we can watch it for longer than just a peek of its back every so often through the gaps. I'm not sure the buffalo are aware of that black rhino, although it has come from the direction that they're going to, so it might smell them. Annette, you're asking if buffaloes will ever chase rhino. Not that I have seen. I've seen rhino doing some serious damage to buffalo, although they'd probably avoid one another. Black rhino maybe, because they're a little bit more territorial, can be a little bit more aggressive, and especially if they've got youngsters, if, old buffalo bull happens to stumble across the path of one, can do serious damage to them. But I don't think we'll see any of that there. Everyone's quite happy to carry on feeding this afternoon. They're on the same agenda in terms of feeding. But now you can see that eye of that black rhino, that as it pokes its head up, very, very small eye in comparison to the size of its head. And rhino don't have the best of eyesight, probably better than what we give them credit for. But just where it is now with this wind, it's able to sort of just use its other senses that it relies on a little bit more to just gather what's going on around them. It might now be able to smell the buffalo that are moving through the area behind it with the wind blowing from the buffalo to the rhino. But really, really magic to see. And I mean, out here, it's almost like a needle in a haystack. If it was lying down where it was, I think we'd drive straight past it. But super spoiled to see that. A couple of rattling testiculars making a racket behind us. Wind has actually died down significantly during the day today, which is also quite nice. I was asked today to find something special. It's my mum's birthday, so I'll give her a little bit of a birthday shout out, always much deserved. And yeah, from the comfort of your living room, live from the African bush, is this black rhino, which maybe, will, if it does carry on walking this afternoon, will eventually end up closer to one of the roads in an area that we might be able to get another view of it, which would be a treat. But just to watch them from a distance is also quite amazing. The scent marking, quite often stopping like we see here to rest. A couple of watering holes around now. Although something like a black rhino would rather choose to drink when watering holes are a little bit more quiet. They prefer to do that in the comfort of their own space and own time. So often very late in the afternoon or evening and into the night is when they'll go for a drink. And not so long ago when we were just coming out of in the height of winter, I'd say, really, really dry still, all of the watering holes drying up. In the early morning we found a black rhino caked in mud. It literally looked like someone had just put layer upon layer of mud on this black rhino. It must have been about 2 or 3 inches thick, but it was more than happy to do that in the early hours of the morning. So we might stick around here for a bit and see if this rhino doesn't move on. Otherwise we might move on and see if we can't find any other cats or maybe one of the predators this afternoon out here in the open areas.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Djuma. Good afternoon from a wonderful green Djuma where the vegetation is absolutely loving the moisture that we've had. I've heard tell we've had over 100 mils of rain, which by October, in my reckoning, is a lot. If it keeps going this way, we could have a really, really good year. Watering holes are already looking good. Vegetation's bouncing back, although there is still a lot of growth to come. The animals are going to be very happy. It is, though, with the rain, the ground is quite compact, very hard. I've been trying to follow up on where Tandi's cub was left this morning, unsuccessfully at the moment. You can imagine being a little leopard cub there. Not very easy to see. But the transformation, everybody, from when I was last here about a month and a half ago is quite something. Theo is obviously my cameraman this afternoon, and him on the back, he's been getting a bit lost because everything looks completely different to the desolate and dry Djuma that he was introduced to. And it is amazing how quickly it can transform.
Thanks, Steve. Now we come to this Chita Estate runway here. Come across this bunch of impala. And the reason I stop here just to look at them is because of how they're most concentrating on looking around. They're highly active animals. They always do something, feed. And could it be that because of where they are, it's slightly open. On the other side, the background is thicket. So we're not sure what happened here. I'm not saying that they've seen anything yet. I can't be 100% sure. Usually, when they see something, they would alarm call. They would do alarm calls for sure. And if they ever seen anything, maybe they were not sure about it, and they have to maybe take their more time just to look at what could be around them. And the wind is now picking up pretty much higher than it was when we started. So a lot of these antelope, when that happened, they get so confused, not wanting into the thicket because they're unable to hear what's going on. But then it's better when they come to this very open here, and that they can able to be aware, well alert enough that anything's around them or able to see. Our leopards out here, not like cheetah. A cheetah can bolt from way distance into this high rim of a pallet we're looking at, if there is one of them. So then a leopard, their technique of hunting for them is to attack their own time, aim the target, but also check the wind directions. If it's not possible, and they will just gonna lie down flat. Maybe 2 hours, I've seen leopard do that. Forget about what is in front of them until there's a chance. And then that's how they succeed in terms of killing or hunting. And look at them there. Well, there's some of them looking at us, but not all of them. And they're looking away from us. So some of them are grooming themselves. But many of these bigger impalas in this group here, they're heavily carrying, so the whole pregnancy, which is sooner this coming November, mid-November, December, we'll be seeing a lot of a lamb running around here, baby impalas. Then it will be so beautiful to see them running around. It's the only thing I haven't seen in my life since I've been doing this. It's impala giving birth. So every time you see them, they're all there. And you can try maybe night drive or anything you want. But what they do is that they're separate from the group. Isolate one of the females. She knows she's going to give birth in probably like for 3 hours. She stay away from the herd, far from the herd, and in hiding places and deliver the baby. But spend a lot of time with the baby so the baby can able to recognize her as a mother, because they don't have a lot of color that they'll be unique or very much. They're all the same. And for that baby gain experience also knowing the mother smells what it's like. So every time also mothers wanna go to their own baby as they all combine playing around, she will go straight to their own baby, not mistaken, taking a different one. So they spend a lot of time for that baby to gain that kind of experience. But when that happens, it's done. It's probably take a few 2 weeks sometimes, and before she return back to the group. And when she does that, and the babies all know what is happening in terms of also running, they can able to run. But I can tell you for sure, they're born very long leg. You see baby impala to think of long legs they got, and the advantage of they can run fast as well, away from the danger. and maybe 3 hours after birth, they can still survive, run away from the danger immediately for their mother. So I'm probably going to move around, see what they see. If nothing, then I'm going to move away.
Okay, guys, so we left the lions and we came to the Tswalu young male. Here he is walking straight towards. You can hear a whole lot of birds, alarm calling. So Rowan, who was on last week, found him lying on a termite mound. We just got here now. You can see him starting to move around. It's just so exciting seeing him active at this time of the day in the light. It's incredible. Still quite young, so maybe he's a bit more inexperienced, so he's walking around looking for hunting opportunity. He doesn't look too full. We are going to move. Odie's going to do his best to keep the camera steady. Let's see where he goes. We'll stop over. No, we won't. We'll go forward. But so incredible. As I said, it is cooling down. There's a bit of a breeze. So we do have him moving. We're going to lose him a bit now. I do apologize, but we'll get him back. I'm hoping he's going to go drink here from one of these water holes that you can see. Okay, we're going to stop over here. Here we go. So, can you see him there, hey? I mean, see now when Owen zooms in, have a look at the camera further to the right there, Odie. Just behind the bush. There we go. There you can see his head very well hidden, though, because if he is looking to hunt, he wants to stay as protected as possible. So you can see in front of him, it's just open grass. We've got these pan systems here full of water from the rains we've had. So he stops in the cover, looks around, see if there's anything in front of him. See if there's anything he wants to stalk or he wants to hide from. Nothing there. Fantastic. Out he comes. Okay, so we got some comments. I think the last comment was from Boo or Boo. He's a nice looking leopard. I mean, it's a stunning looking male. Look at his coat, almost in perfect condition. He's going to drink now. In perfect condition, especially in this light. I mean, that sun is in the shade now, obviously. But the sun shining on his sort of golden coat, just incredible. Oh, he might come and drink so we can see. That is going to be awesome. Look at the reflection in the water as well. I apologize if you hear my camera. That is just incredible. I mean, you know, you can see that sun shining on his right-hand side, just lighting up his coat there, lighting up his eye. Beautiful. Especially now with walking on that sort of sandy area with the green. If he drinks from the bottle right here, then Owen and I are just going to go home after this. It doesn't get much better. Now you can see him nice and close. Quite a tall one. He's 1.5 years. So he's still fairly young. But you can see he's going to be quite a big leopard. He's got a big chest, got big shoulders. I mean, look at his shoulder blades at the front there as he's walking. He's going to be very strong. His mother, the Tswalu female, very good huntress. He gets a lot of food. He eats regularly. Right now, he's probably hunting little birds. When the young impalas are born, the lambs are born, probably hunt some of those, mongoose, things like that. He's going to be hunting, so he's going to feed himself quite a lot. You know, so his own snacks every now and then the food from his mother, catching impalas, bushbuck, and yalas. He's getting a lot of food, a lot of strength. And so relaxed. It's so lovely having relaxed leopards. You know, they're a very secretive animal. Look at that. Oh, the lighting is incredible at the moment. So for those who are watching, remember at the lions, that young white female was also licking the grass, sort of eating the grass. It looks like he was actually smelling something there. You can see he didn't actually put any grass in his mouth, and then he just like smelled it, and then lifted up and sort of tasted. But you might find he's smelling what other animals have been here. He does have a sister. Maybe he's trying to find a sister. Maybe he's smelling another male leopard, the Mokuti male maybe. He's smelling in this area. So he's just trying to get a sense of what's around here, what comes down to this water hole. There are lions, hyenas, buffaloes, anything that he needs to be worried about, needs to be just a bit more alert. Just gathering everything he can. But quite uncertain, actually, it looks like, about the water. I mean, twice now he's come so close to the puddle. Hasn't actually drunk. Looks like he might drink now. Facing us. You can see they're just walking along the edge. I mean, I don't understand the reason why. He was on a game path, turned off of that to walk along the sort of more muddy bank. You can see he's actually sinking a bit there in that grass. I think there's a lot of water underneath there. So it could be he smelled something on that path, or maybe he just felt too exposed on that path. Not that he's in more cover now. Or he just didn't want, he wanted to get to a good position to drink for us. That's what's happening. And he has done a phenomenal job there. Okay, so we got a question from Bridget wanting to know how much water a leopard will need to drink per day. Bridget, it varies greatly. Not a lot. You know, leopards, lions, predators, they don't drink a lot of water. And like we've seen him here, he had maybe 2 licks of water there, not much. And you must remember, Bridget, when they eat, they do actually get a lot of liquid from the blood of the food that they eat. So a lot of their moisture intake can be from blood. So you'll maybe find a leopard, and if a water hole's close by where they are, they might go drink there at night, maybe once a day they'll go and have a drink. In terms of how many liters they drink, I can't give you an exact answer, but not a lot. Not a lot, Bridget. They get their moisture from a lot of different sources. They will lick the grass, like we saw the lion doing. They will drink the blood when they eat the meat, stuff like that. So they'll go to water if it's there, if it's convenient. But very intricate. So you can see now he's headed into that bush. What we're going to try and do, see if we can loop around, see if we can keep up with him for a little bit longer.
From the leopard to our lone elephant bull. Now these bulls, sometimes they walk alone, sometimes you see them in bachelor herds. Once a bull has left his natal family, he will join other bulls in a bachelor group. But then they have different of equality in complex social organization sometimes. All bulls can accommodate these bulls being solitary more easily. So the younger bulls associate themselves with these bigger bulls because of mentorship. Those older bulls are more experienced and they mentor the younger bulls for a rite of passage as they carry on walking from home ranges to home ranges. But sometimes you find there's dominance in rank amongst the bull in a given area. So to attain a rank, these bulls have to go into a sparring fight, which is very, very important when they establish the mating rights or mating etiquette. So these bulls end up learning from those older bulls who teach them the mating etiquette, how to walk by, how to, in general, discipline and social life. Sometimes they can walk into in some groups of cows. They walk into them randomly, and sometimes they analyze if those females are sexually receptive. And sometimes when they found a suitable female, he will test their urine, their genital using the trunk, and that is how they come to mate. But in those herds, you find these females that have very high ranking, and the matriarchs, they're the ones who select those bulls to mate with. And so it's only dependent on her for selection. But younger females might mate with these bulls that sometimes come across them while they're grazing. So I'm sure there might be some other bulls not far from here. And if not, he'll be walking to other areas where he can associate himself with other bulls and maybe elephant herd. Earlier on the show, we saw a big herd, and I'm sure he crossed over, walked with the herds, and then they carried on off to their respective grazing area where they will come back again tomorrow. So we always see the movement of elephants coming back and forth to the swamps and to this savanna. So when it's drying out, especially now that we're experiencing the dry season, these bulls walk from one area to another in search of food. And of course they have the experience because they are old. They know where to find water and where to go for grazing when times of drought comes. I'm going to sit here for a while, watch this bull, as I take you over to another live location.
Okay, so we managed to get another view of this leopard. So it's a bit hard because of that tree in his way, but we don't want to move the car yet because it looks like he's trying to stalk. Now, just judging by his body language, he walked, he stopped, he was staring somewhere, he moved very carefully forward and then sat down. So I think he's looking around. Maybe he smelled something. The wind is blowing from our left, so from his left towards him. Maybe he smelled something up ahead. I can't see anything, but their sense is much, much better than ours. I think looking now, he's skinny. He's looking skinny. He is hunting. He might have seen something. We had reports of a carcass. We think an impala died natural causes. We didn't see any sort of predatory marks, no bite wounds, no claw wounds, nothing like that. We think it died naturally. But that's about 1 kilometer away from here. He hasn't smelt that yet. But you can see now he's laying down, he's grooming. So we're going to reposition a little bit just so you can get a view of his head. So you can see what he's doing. It's not going to take long. Just like there, I think should be fine actually. And now watch as we zoom in how well hidden. I get to the left there. How well camouflaged that leopard is. In there amongst that greenery, this yellow, white, and black leopard just blends in. So you can see whatever caught his attention earlier. Obviously, he decided maybe it's not worth the hunt or too far away. Whatever he decided, just not worth. Now lying down, just grooming himself. We've been very lucky this afternoon with activity. I think it's got a lot to do with the breeze that we have. It's quite windy. You can see all the grass moving in the picture. And that lowering the temperature quite a lot for us as well as the animals. And that has led us to see those lions moving, see this leopard moving, looking at opportunities to hunt. Even grooming like this is very, very important for the predators. You often see the lions, the leopards, before they get up to move, before they start hunting, they will groom themselves. The lions will groom each other. And it's all just part of the getting ready phase. You know, getting little sticks out, getting perhaps a thorn out from his toes as he's been walking, getting ticks off, keeping himself nice and clean. It's also a good sound for us. I'm sure you've heard before. It means it's a sign of activity. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next sort of 5-10 minutes, he gets up again, carries on walking. And that's what he will do for the rest of the day. Most likely the whole night until he finds a kill, until he makes it. He'll walk, groom, hunt. Most likely unsuccessfully the first time. Stop, groom. Okay, that's a very interesting question from Greg. Greg wants to know how far a leopard can see. So Greg, they do have very, very good vision, both in the day and at night. But you can imagine, if you look at the area that we're in here, a lot of bushes, there's a lot of grass, there's a lot of branches, stick leaves, stuff like that, Greg. So, here, this leopard's only seeing maybe 50, 60, 80 meters, what you can see now, just due to how thick it is. If he was in the Timbavati River and looking straight down the river, you'd probably see a few hundred meters even. And the eyesight is very, very good. But then you also got to remember, Greg, they detect movement. The eyes are very, very good at detecting movement. That's why you'd often see a prey, something like an impala, duiker, steenbok, or a bushbuck, whatever it be, would actually freeze. It would stop. Because predators struggle to see things when they're still. They blend in. These animals have camouflage. But this leopard, he can maybe see, let's say, 200 meters in a very open area. But he's mainly looking for movement, Greg. That is his main detecting movement. Looking for an impala moving through the bushes, picking up on that, and then getting closer. But very seldomly will they hunt in the open. This is the perfect area to hunt in. There's lots of cover for the leopard, shade. It's more grass as opposed to dry leaves and sticks that might make noise. But here, he's relying more on motion detection than far sight. I mean, there's so many factors, affecting everything, like how well they can hear. It depends on the wind. It depends on what else is around them. Are there birds? Are there baboons? It depends on so many factors. How far they can see, how well they can smell. Smell also depends now on the wind. There's many, many factors that influence all of these animal senses. But this is what the leopard's looking for. A windy day, there's a few clouds in the sky, so potentially tonight will be a good time to hunt. It's not going to be very light. The wind's going to make it very hard for the prey to detect him. But you never know what could happen.
Back to our elephant. You can see he's flapping his ears. He's enjoying the grass, pulling it very slowly, taking steps by steps. Now, elephants have an effect on the vegetation. Together with rhinos, hippos, and giraffes, they eat loads and loads. So elephants are called the keystone species, which means they are able to change their habitat and make it in a way that functions, that drives the ecological process, which helps other animals within this environment. And that vegetation also gives the others opportunity, because when they walk like this, they eat loads and loads. So there's some seeds that cannot germinate freely if they drop on the ground. But once they pass through the elephant's stomachs, they will very well remove the cast, because the elephants don't have a four-chambered stomach. So whatever is eaten is not well digested. So sometimes people call them the greatest destroyers of trees, second to man. But I love saying that they are ecological friendly because they help in seed disposal. Their droppings and large quantities of dung, and they play a major role in the recycle of nutrients. So this dung can also act as manure when they are walking around, when they defecate. So a dung pile can sometimes have small seedlings that shoot up, and after the rains, like sometime we have, at this time of the year, we have small amount of rain. So those seeds that are in the elephant dung can germinate with the help of the dung, which is manure. So those dungs have unproportional seeds, undigested seeds. So this can provide nutrients for other animals, such as baboons. We've seen baboons foraging on elephant dung. We've seen mongoose. We've seen guinea fowls. Oh, there's a hyena who's passing by. Maybe it's that time of the day when hyenas are beginning to be active, or maybe he smelled food somewhere else. Although they are known to be nocturnal, you'll see them during the day. So I was talking about dung. So that fiber of the dung also provide nutrients for species such as termites. So when you talk about termites, they also play an important ecological role in this environment. Also, when you talk about insects, these dung beetles. Dung beetles also have a relationship with dung. They carry out their nest for food. So whenever there's a dung pile of elephant dung, you find dung beetles coming to build a nest where they'll bury balls of dung inside those nests. So elephants play a very important role since they are the keystone species in our environment. As you can see, he's got mud on his side of the skin. That is one way of cooling themselves. And sometimes Leanne, thank you for your question. I'll say it's 50-50 because even though they prefer eating grass, because oftentimes when counter elephants in the grass plains, they'll be eating grass, but they are mixed feeders where they'll eat branches, leaves, and twigs as they walk into the forest. So when there's no adequate supply of grass, when the grass is not this big or there's no grass at all, they will seek an alternative to go and eat leaves from trees. So I'll say it is a 50-50 balance where they'll eat grass and leaves as a matter of food. Slowly turning back. So the small trees that grow there, the elephants love pulling them out to eat the roots, from which they are so nutritious to them. And of course they form a big part of their diet. See him flapping, so he's cooling off. He's a magnificent bull. So let's say sometimes during the drought or when food is scarce, these elephants will debark trees and ingest the barks, which provide nutrients such as minerals and fatty acids that really help these elephants. Sometimes you see them pushing down acacia or thorny trees. Despite them having very sensitive mouth, they can tolerate thorns. There's more supply of grass here, and at least the swamps or the marshes here are big, so these elephants enjoy and make daily trips to those marshes. We've seen such big movement of these herds from the marshes up to the savannah. Look at how muddy his face is, his body. He's just from a mud wallow. Still sit here and watch this bull as he slowly grazes. So I'm going to take you over to another live location.
Thanks, Kim. Here now, this is one of not a stranger. It happened where you come across the body lying down of the animal, and you don't see any predators around. And this is one of the male, looks like was a male, beautiful male impala, but it's lying there. We just saw how we spotted was a tawny eagle feeding on it. And when we look, we don't see any of bite marks on the neck, which tells me it could happen that maybe, I don't know, nature causes what could be. And many times animal will die of a choke, where sometimes the airway closed and it cannot breathe and it die that way. Look at this tawny eagle we was talking about. This is one of the scavengers who was trying to feed in his dead body of impala. If it wasn't a leopard, I assume that it would be dragged into a cover for just to get rid of other predators might spot it and go down and feed, just like we see there already a lot of there's one eagle, and it could be more of vulture probably tomorrow. Now I see the sun going down. It's possible that also it's going to be taken up, scavenged by other predators as spotted hyena or lion. If it just die of naturally, leopard can pick it up and feed in that. And horse it up in one of the beautiful trees or marula trees we're looking at, which is one of the eagles sitting right on top of it right now. So I don't know what happened here. So, but I've seen a lot of this. I've seen a zebra also was kind of died, no bite mark or anything like that. And could be one of the natural causes take place, where animal choke and it cannot breathe, or something, or snake bite sometimes, or the raining. It's very rare for kind of antelope to run into trees, especially during the day, that look fresh for me. It didn't look like 2 days or so older. Where for them to run at night, because not safe anymore, because then they run, they don't have a lot of choice to look for safety running into wood, running into tree, especially when there's no moon. They get chased, everybody trying to get away from the danger. Happen, run into probably tree and they broke their neck that way. So as you can see there, it's already just behind the tree, all these starling now, trying to get around. As you know, most of the birds, they're not actually, they don't hunt for meat, but they can, when a chicken can feed on remain of meat, if there's no meat around, they can cannibalize, they can eat their own sometimes. But probably looking for maggots as well, these type of birds, which, they see a lot of flies flying around in the face of impala. And look fresh, antelope, shiny coat, as it was still running around, but then it's already passed away. Shame. Well, it's a lot of nutritious for these antelope to be mobile feed, and it's still not a very dense bushes that they will be confused in terms of looking out for their own safety. But if it's a snake, of course, this is one of could be anything like mamba, or most mambas capable of bite and leave it. Animal die like that on the ground. So I'll wait here a while, and then if nothing showing up here, I'm gonna make my way out. But we're gonna maybe try and investigate another time, maybe tomorrow, to see what happened.
Well, how exciting. I wonder where that dead impala is. I wonder who it might have been, who's dropped it there. Maybe one of the skittish leopards hanging around. Very good, Andrew. Stay there until dark. Hopefully something comes back. Well, we've spotted something with spots in the distance. Beautiful female giraffe. just sort of hanging out in the woodland. I think it's a female. Yeah, it's definitely a female. Theo said earlier on this drive what he wanted to see was 2 giraffe necking. So, first of all, you need 2 giraffe to do that, and second of all, they need to be male. So, unlucky Theo. I'm not going to get it now.
Beautiful. So, sorry about that. Happens in the bush. Things happen sometimes. Lost signal. So we're still sitting here. I haven't really decided to move yet. Like I said, I'm going to just wait for a while. And now, Tony Eagle also taking it easy. And not looking around. You know, they're all just a very relaxed bird. And then after we're gone, this bird is going to come down here and feed. Well, I think I'm going to leave it soon because this bird also trying to get its meal before. I don't think that bird has been feeding on its meal for a long time because they only hunt by flying up and then pick up the thermos. And if that animal doesn't actually rot enough, it's very difficult for this bird to be able to deduct the air or thermos, to be able to tell where they died body or where there is meat. And then of course they compete with vultures as well as a butterfly eagle is one of the short-tailed eagle we have in this area. And these all type of birds are predators for other birds. But they are a bird of prey, which is a raptor. And for that, hunt guinea fowls, hunt spare fowls around here. And that type of eagle, they don't mainly go for a snake because there's only one unique eagle or 2 type of eagle I know of in this area, brown snake eagle and a white-chested eagle. And those are the one well designed for their own special talents or legs are all scaled up and they will prey on any type of a snake, including a very toxic snake as well. And yeah, I'm gonna probably make my way here as nothing will show up for us here. I don't want to waste time for that eagle. We'll go away.
Okay, so we managed again to loop around, get the view of this young male. Now you can see it very clearly. Quite young still. We said 1.5 years. You can see that pink nose when he does decide to look at us. Now he's definitely not hunting anymore. You can see looking very relaxed, very calm, on a pretty secluded spot. Took us a while to work our way in here. This is a great place for him. He's on a game path. He can hear anything coming before it gets too close to him, which is important. And he feels safe. He feels secure here. He's quite well hidden in case something like a lion or a bigger male leopard or something comes past. He's chosen his place big. You see how alert he is. His ears constantly moving there ever so slightly. He's listening to my voice. Any movement on the car, the camera, something like that. So very alert. He is relaxed. Oh, there was a bird calling. And very important. This left, so listen up. Bird calling, alarm calling, cockpickers. You'll listen for to get a better idea of stunning pattern in the colors on him. His coat, perfect condition. No scars, no cuts, No wounds, no nothing. Just beautiful, sleek, a young leopard coat. That colour difference. Look how white that tail is. How white that sort of back leg, that flank is, compared to that shoulder area just below the neck. Much, much darker by the neck than it is on the upper sort of flank and the tail. All of this sort of different colours, different combinations, it's all meant to help camouflage. Sort of break the leopard up, but like a different thing. You know, if you're looking at a bush and you see a dark colour and a light colour, you won't think it's the same thing. He's looking pretty relaxed, yeah. I think we're going to sit here with him, see if anything happens.
Guys, so we almost had the perfect timing. But very good news. This is the mother of the 3 small cubs that we were with earlier. And she has just made a duiker kill. You can see how she's still heavily panting. We must have arrived here maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes after the kill has been made. So incredible to see that she came right. This is going to be golden for her to, you know, continue producing milk for those little ones. Would be interesting to see if she goes and fetches them to start joining her on the kill. I mean, they're about 2 months old now. So I don't think they're quite there yet as far as eating meat is concerned. But yeah, I want you to have a look at her face when she turns back towards us. On her left cheek, here from her eye towards her ear more. Let's just turn a little bit more. You'll see there's almost a line forming from the eye down to the cheekbone. There you can see it nicely now. So not the tear mark that comes down to her nostril, the opposite direction. There's that line. And that's a very characteristic line for this particular cheetah. You know, we'll be able to identify her rather easily using that little line. Strange enough, her mother also had a line like that. So, I mean, guys, it's not like she's the only cheetah with a line like that. However, in this particular area, whenever we will see her again, we'll have a very good idea that it, that it might be her. So yeah, this is unfortunately the problem with being a cheetah, is with you expending so much energy in the chase, there's quite a long resting period after making the kill before they'll start feeding. So I can see there is a drag mark coming from the duiker's bum, so she must have killed it a little bit more in the open, dragged it into the shade, and now she's just resting before she starts feeding again. Well, not again, before she starts to feed. And this is a perfect sized kill for her to have as far as, size-wise is concerned. So Pele just had a question: what is the success rate for a cheetah hunt in Tswalu? Pele, our cheetahs, obviously you get the better hunters and then the not so good hunters, but from what I've seen, they're rather good. Clocking at around, I want to say, between 50 and 60% success rate. So that's 2 in every 3 animals that they chase, they'll make a kill, which is quite high. I mean, if you think about a lion, they've got about a 30% success rate, so half of this. But, with them having the speed and also a little bit of a smaller prey animal that they go for, also choosing their targets right. They can't because they operate by themselves when it's a female, and in coalitions with us when it's males, with a female particularly, they can't, allow for too many mishunts or unsuccessful hunts, because otherwise they're just going to burn themselves out. So they'll only start the chase once they are almost 100% certain that they are going to be successful in this kill. And I mean, still then, they get it wrong sometime. But yeah, quite successful here at Tswalu. The environment provides for good hunting ground, nice open areas, so they can use their speed, not a lot of bushes or everywhere where the animals can duck and dive into or zigzag around. So it is absolutely their territory here in the Kalahari. And I can see, the jackals are always the first to arrive on the scene. I can already see, Glenn, can you see that one over there? There's a jackal lying in the shade, not too far away. I don't think we'll be able to put it on camera now, but he's already just sitting there waiting to see if there's any scraps. Yeah, just over my head almost. Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, first scavenger on the scene, a black-backed jackal. And, by themselves, the jackal won't try anything funny. They're just not big and strong enough or have enough numbers to do so when they are a single jackal. However, I've seen my very first cheetah kill that I ever witnessed. I saw, it was in Kruger, and I saw the cheetah killing an impala. And before it could take a bite to eat, it was in this resting period, and before it could take a bite to eat, there were so many jackals around that kill that they actually chased the cheetah off. And he or she, it was quite far away, we couldn't see whether it was male or female, he or she decided to rather just leave the kill. So, I mean, even though they're small, they can be an irritation to the cheetahs sometimes. When this guy starts vocalizing and there's more arriving on the scene, or maybe a brown hyena getting attracted to it or something like that, it's always a bad sign for the cheetahs. But yeah, guys, we're going to stick with her for a little bit, see if she wants to start feeding or, do something else other than panting. And if that happens, we're going to come show you.
How amazing. Cheetah. Haven't seen one in some time, but yeah, we've got a red-crested korhaan. Top of Termite Mountain is starting his call. That little clicking sound is the prelude to the loud chirping that goes on. Actually hear him, others in the distance. The reason they call is to make themselves stand out to the ladies. He's quite nicely elevated here. While we're waiting for him to do something, can you jump to the tree directly behind? There's a bird sort of directly at the back there, Theo. Yeah, there we go. The ground scraper thrush just flew up. Oh, there's flew off. He had a whole lot of green material in his beak. He's obviously going to go build a nest. It's a time before breeding for many birds. Now, sometimes that is followed by this suicidal flight path. He jumps up into the air, does this backward somersault, and exposes very red, very black sort of stomach. And then just before hitting the floor, manages to pull back and then land without squashing himself. They're going to be prepared for it, because when they do go, it happens very quickly. Right on top of the termite mound, really cool to see. Obviously doesn't want to do any jumping until he's quite certain that there's some ladies to be watching. Do you agree, Theo? Got to make sure they're watching before you do your dance, eh? So it starts off with that click that you probably didn't even notice it was coming from him, the click. And what was quite interesting to see was that nice close-up was how his tongue was sticking out of his mouth as he was doing that loud call. I've never seen that before. It's not often you get such a nice sort of view of them elevated on the termite mound. I'm sure he's going to start again. I do like stopping in moments like this, because while we're sitting, not driving, we also have the potential to hear all sorts of other things. Here it goes again. Very impressive. Very camouflaged, so it's loud noises that they make. Let the females know they're around. And then that skyrocket of a flight crashing down with the black belly makes them very obvious. Quite something to see when you're driving along. You just see these black balloons flying up and then falling down again. Does make them stand out properly. Hunts, you love learning bird calls. Well, it's really nice to be able to show you the bird actually doing it. And that first bit that he was doing is something known as bull snapping. There's a few birds that do bull snapping. Grey-headed bushshrike, chin-spot batis are two off the top of my head. See, he's got the white band on the chest and quite a black belly. That is what stands out when he does the backward somersault. So I'm hoping if he does do another call, we might actually get him doing a suicide bomb. And then Theo needs to be prepared, because it happens quickly. It's not something I've ever seen someone capture properly on camera. Often happens so unexpectedly. Almost looks like he's spotted someone. I'm looking over in the direction he's looking, but I can't see anything. The ladies are very camouflaged. There we go. You can hear males calling all over the place. They are polygynous, so they will mate with as many females as they can. They won't look after the eggs. And pretty rich resource areas. So the females could be anywhere. Actually look like he's snapping, does it? Almost like a flicking of the tongue. Almost like a flicking of the tongue. So the red-crested korhaan in the breeding season, it's not always seen, but this time of year, can often push out these beautiful red feathers at the top of the crown. They're actually flat right now. I've only ever seen it once on a bird. I've seen many of these red-crested korhaans, but I've only ever seen the red crest once. Such a... Oh, is up. The red crest is up. There we go. You can see the red. So nice to see. You see how it like vanishes on the back of the head there? The red crest. It gets excited, it pops up. So second time for me seeing it. It often will come right up like a wattle around the back, like a crown. He's getting excited now. Maybe he can feel the eyes of some ladies on him. This is going to be it. This is going to be our one. Remember, this is live, everybody. You never know what's going to happen. Anticipation is killing me. So Thea and I are going to spend a few moments here and see if this fellow ends up doing his suicide dive bomb.
So, okay guys, yeah, always interesting to see that suicide bomb trick of the red-crested korhaans, but just more special to see the red crest like you guys were doing right now. But as you can see, our cheetah has started feeding. And she's just opened up the skin there on the hindquarters. I think she's actually still trying to make a little hole for her mouth to fit in. You can see how she's using that carnassial shear, you know, what we have as our molars, to slice through the skin there at the back, to just open up a little bit over there. She's gonna, there she's in now. There we go. And you'll find that they'll typically, but that's with lion and leopard the same. You find that they typically open up the carcass there on the bum. It's nice and soft meat. It's also a direct line to the chest cavity, which they can then go in for to, get to the liver and the kidneys and the heart and the lungs. They love feeding on those internal organs. They won't really feed on the large intestines and so on, just because that's going to be full of leaves, so not really their cup of tea. But the liver especially is golden for them. They love going for that. And then, keeping the skin on the carcass for as much and as long as possible, just to keep in this heat. It acts as a little bit of an insulation against bacteria and, the meat turning and those types of things. So the longer the skin can stay on a certain area or surface of the meat, the longer that meat will then stay good. With cheetahs, it's not as important for them, just because they typically fill their belly in a kill, and then by that time the scavengers are in such high numbers that they leave whatever's left after filling their belly like that. With things like lion and leopard, that is more important for them to keep the carcass as fresh for as long as possible. But yeah, it's definitely a young male duiker. I could see the little horns now when I was looking at the head with the binoculars, but that's not the important thing now. Now we're looking at how beautiful and how special it is for this cheetah to allow us to look at her feeding, and from not too far away. We're probably about 30, 40 meters away from her. So very cool to have this sighting. So Viola just had a question. Why can't cheetahs hoist kills up into trees like leopards? Viola, there's a couple of things that plays a role in that particular question. So first of all, a cheetah can't really, effectively climb up and down a tree. The leopards are the only ones with a locking mechanism in their wrists, which allows them to come down a tree facing forward. So a cheetah doesn't have that. So you will find them climbing into trees, but that's most of the time lower trees with horizontal branches, which they can just jump up into. The other thing is they don't have retractable claws. As you can see now, they're on her paw. Those claws are out all the time. So to act like running spikes to just add a little bit more grip when they're traveling at those great speeds. So with that being the case, the nail or the claw constantly gets worn down, so it's not as sharp for her to be able to, grab a hold of the tree or the bark and pull herself up. And then the other thing is, with cheetahs not having as strong of a body, especially when it comes to the upper body or the legs, their legs are quite thin, so not a lot of muscle. With them being designed for speed, they had to give up the muscle to be able to have that speed. But with that being the case, they are physically just not strong enough to take themselves and a kill up into a tree to get it to safety. So, a couple of different things that play a role in that particular factor. You'll rather find them dragging it under a bush like she did right now, or even into a thicker piece of, blackthorn thicket or something like that, to be able to hide it if she is, in between feeding or so. but unfortunately they won't be able to take it up a tree. Maybe a scrub hare, but you know, with them growing up, not taking kills up into trees because they're not able to, they don't think about it twice. They just feed on it on the ground. So yeah, the leopards, the only ones that can really, of the big cats now, that can really effectively take their kills up into trees to keep it safe. I love those amber-like eyes, those deep brown eyes of a cheetah. It's just, it's stunning. She's really tucking in now. So yeah, guys, we're gonna send you off somewhere else. If there's a little bit more action happening, maybe she opens up the kill a little bit more somewhere, we're gonna come show you again, okay?
Welcome back, everybody, to And Beyond Pinda. We're talking about taking things up trees, like a leopard would hoist a kill, to a sunset and a tree in the foreground, just watching that sun disappear behind some clouds and then eventually behind that mountain range in the distance this evening. Actually spoilt in places like the Masai Mara. It's probably dark already in your picture, but we still have a little bit of sunlight left here on the east coast here in South Africa at Pinda. And just listening, there's quite an interesting bird. You might not be able to hear it because of the wind. There's still a little bit of a breeze around, but that Deelwald managed to film doing the specific call. He might have described it as a champagne call, but you hear that every so often and a bit of like a croaky start to it. But that's a black-belly bustard that you hear calling as we watch that sun set in the background. What a beautiful evening here on And Beyond Pinda. It was quite a treat to see. You've come out to an area where, you know, if the stars align and we strike gold, we might be so lucky as to find something like a pangolin nowadays here in these areas. So we're going to keep a lookout for them. Now as the sun starts to set, I know we spoke about things hoisting kills in trees. Things like leopard could definitely be starting to wake up and get a little bit more active now. Lions as well. So we might just drive around. Nice to watch that sun disappear behind those clouds. Might just drive around a little bit more and see if we can't find any of those predators or scaly mammal in the form of a pangolin here on Pinda. But what a magic evening. The wind has died down somewhat, still a little bit windy, but luckily it's died down, so maybe even some of the other animals, rhino and the likes, could come out and into the open to graze. Let's see what else we can find this evening.
Okay, so Matt is correct. Things are getting more active as the sun is going down. You can see here, the leopard literally just stood up and started another little walk. So there was a whole lot of birds that started calling. We're going to see if we can follow. A whole lot of birds started alarm calling. And that attracted his attention. And that's why he's now sort of up and moving. It's also, as Matt was saying, it's getting darker. It's getting cooler. That's when these animals are active. So now is a great time for him to be moving. And literally a second. Ooh, can you get it there, Odie? Let me go a tad forward, because I don't know if you... Okay, just try there, Odie. So if you look very carefully, guys, you're going to zoom in. There's a francolin just on the right-hand side of the leopard. Go a little bit right, Odie. But just there's a francolin. I don't know if you just saw it dip down there. The francolin there. I think the leopard is trying to stalk the francolin. We're just going to wait. I know this tree's in your way, everybody. I do apologize. I'm going to stay here for now because the leopard's going to move soon. Give it 1 minute. If he hasn't moved in 1 minute, then I'll move the going down. So let's move the car a little bit. Sorry guys, just bear with us here. We're gonna get you a nice look. And from here, you might even see the Franklin, because the Franklins are just to his left now. Going past the log, this is where the Franklins are. In the ground. A little bit left there, Eddie. There you can get. That's the Franklin. That's what the bird was talking on that log. Remember earlier I was saying when we saw him around the water that he's hunting things like mongoose. When the impala lambs come in November, December, sort of. And these little birds. So these ground birds, not much of a meal, but he's a young leopard. It's going to be also good practice for him to hunt. It's going to be a good snack. It's worth a little bit of effort. You can see he's not running after them now. He doesn't want to spend that much time hunting for such a little reward. But when it was on the log in front of him, worth the try. Worth the try. You can see the color difference. Look at his back, his rump. Going up to his neck there, just at the bend of his neck. Very, very dark. Back onto his head. A little bit paler. A very interesting question from Chris. Now, Chris wants to know, are leopards bigger than cheetahs? So, Chris, yes and no. So, cheetahs are taller than leopards. Leopards are more bulky than cheetahs. Leopards are a lot more muscular. An adult leopard, a big male leopard will be weighing maybe a big male 80 to 90 kilograms, where a big male cheetah will be maybe 60 kilograms. So quite a big weight difference. But if you're talking about height, the cheetah is taller. As I said, the leopard's bulkier. Also remember, the leopard needs a lot more muscle. The leopard's not climbing up a tree with an impala in its mouth. You know, that requires a lot of strength. I would say leopards are bigger. Cheetahs are taller, but leopards are bigger, Chris. Like the leopard, I was saying to OD yesterday, the leopard is a perfect combination between a lion and cheetah. You know, lions are big, brutal, dominate. Cheetahs are a lot more elegant, a lot more graceful looking, a lot more sort of, look more like royal. And then the leopard is a combination of both. He's got that brute strength, got that sort of dominating aura, but still got the beauty of the cheetah in terms of the patterns, the coat, the colors, grace, the look. The leopard is the best culmination between the two. Especially one like this. And just a stunning young specimen of a leopard. And I heard one of the trackers here earlier saying that so they were tracking this leopard this morning as well as the mother. So apparently they were following track here of this young male and his mom, but his mom crossed over the river. So from here, where this leopard is to the river is maybe 150 meters. And she obviously left them here near that waterhole. And she went off to hunt, maybe get the sister, and patrol her territory. And then she might even come back here a little bit later tonight when it's dark. See where he is, join up with them, maybe go hunting together, let him watch, let him practice, or even just check up on him and then carry on. Because now we were talking earlier about the lions. I don't remember who asked the question, but saying that, you know, when do the young male lions get out of the pride? You know, it's between sort of 2 and 3, 2.5, 3.5. And it's the same for the leopard. He's 1.5 years now. So within about a year, probably less than that, he's going to get kicked out. And he's going to have to become independent. He's going to sort of stop hunting for him. She's going to start fighting him when he tries to get the food, chase him away. And he'll stay on Ngala for a while still. And as he starts to get a bit more older, he'll get chased off and have to go into one of the surrounding reserves. So these times now by himself, he might be by himself for a day, 2 days. And it's very important for him now. He's learning to be independent. He's learning how to hide from things. He's learning how to fend for himself, how to search for food. And it's all vital training for him. But I think he's just going to lie here. He's just going to be relaxed. We might sit here for more minutes.
From the leopard to lions here in the Masai Mara. So as the leopard is trying to learn, though we have a young lion, male lion, that is learning how to mate with the lionesses here. So it is very interesting because this young lion here, he was accompanying Olalashe. Olalashe is a big male, dominant male for the Owino pride. But this young lion, his father was Kipuli, who fathered one of the Owino lionesses. So when Olalashe went there, he formed a team with this guy. That's why they're working together. So they came here to this Ololo pride, and now he is mating one of the lionesses because Olalashe is not here. So this is very important to note that sometimes lionesses will play a very good trick where they'll mate two lions because they will assure security for the cubs whenever they give birth. So each individual, this young lion and Olalashe, will think that the cubs are theirs. So that will be a heightened security when the cubs grow up. So this morning and yesterday morning, we saw Olalashe mating one of the lions, the one lying facing the one with the collar. But because he's not present, so this young male is mating. Yeah, how important is it? And very, very well in terms of security. So these lionesses know that for the future success of their cubs, they have to play that trick and mate two lions. Although he's not big enough, so wild animals and lions in particular, they'll prefer big mature males to mate with them for a stronger gene. But in terms of security, this sometimes happen where they mate two lions from different prides or maybe brothers. So it's evening, it's almost raining, and how lucky to see these lions here. Very, very important. Olalashe is not here, but I think he might be within this area. But if he comes, definitely he has to chase that young lion out. So in future, when this becomes a pride male, he will think that those cubs are his. If these lionesses successfully give birth, so nice, peaceful. I don't know what she's seen. Maybe she might have seen some prey. So I'll just change position to see what this lioness has located. Or maybe we might see a stock. Or maybe you might see a hunt. So let me just change position. Change position. She's walked in front of these two lions. So yesterday these lionesses managed to pull down a wildebeest. But then later on in the night, Olalashe together with this young male there, they came and they shared the meal. So that means it was not that much to fully feed these 5 lions. So that means that they have to hunt again today. And if they're not successful, they have to do it tomorrow. Lovely sound of the crickets. hear some beetles flying and some moths. Maybe she did not see anything, but she was just curious, or maybe whatever she's seen is way too far, so she's choose to relax. About a week ago, we saw 2 lionesses from this pride mating with the lashe. So that means these lions have a very good security when they have to give birth to cubs. She's not happy, but he's trying. So I'm going to sit here and watch these lions here and see what will happen next as I take you over to another live location.
Thanks, Tim. We come across the female giraffe, and it's so beautiful, marking through these bushes. You can see it right there. And they're one of the animals that don't stick around too much this time of the year. And they all follow green around here. And then, of course, we talk about one of the male giraffe we saw earlier this morning. In the beginning of the show, was one male that was standing far from us. It was also alone. This is one of the females that she's looked like alone around here. I don't see any of her other friends. But they're enjoying what they eat. It's a new lot of shoots that's available for them that makes them not to be very much static. But of course they have it brilliant. Our sight, we're able to see the other friends from way distance off if there is other friends around here. They were able to do that. Talk about their ears more pale than the rest of the body for them to be able to see one another if it's a chance of other friends up on a hill. So we'll leave this giraffe be and take you to another safari live again, and we'll move on, search for the other animal.
So, okay guys, she is definitely, savoring the moment. You can see the belly is already a little bit round, but she actually just got up and went and lied down like this. I think she's just giving herself time for all the meat to go through the belly and, find a resting spot before she continues to feed. With the cheetahs, they gulp down as much as they can, as quickly as they can, because they know that often they don't have a lot of time. So then they do sometimes actually just need to stop and breathe for a bit so that, all the meat can go and find a little spot to lie in. Otherwise it's going to get clogged almost. But as you can see, still panting heavily. Now with her digestive system getting kick-started as well, she's going to create quite a bit of heat, internal body heat. And with it being such a warm day today already, she's going to have to constantly use that method of panting to get rid of, whatever she can get rid of as far as heat is concerned. Now that we're looking at it like now, her right now, you can see the little horns of the duiker just there by her neck as well. I do think she's going to cover them up soon. She's going to probably drop down a bit. But yeah, absolutely enjoying the moment. I think, being a full-time mom of those 3 little cubs can be quite stressful. So whenever she has the opportunity just to be like this, she enjoys every single second. Just to become a bit more human again, or a bit more cheetah. And you can see how she's now properly covered in that, almost like a blush around the mouth and the cheeks from her feeding activity. And those teeth still in very good condition. She's a relatively young cheetah, like we've mentioned in previous sightings that we've had with her. We believe that this is only her first litter of cubs, either first or second. So still lots of years ahead of her. Getting lazy now. And we were wondering whether she would go and, get the cubs before she starts feeding, but it's, with the jackal being already here, I don't think she's going to get back to the cubs before she's finished feeding over here. She'll finish this kill, or as far as she wants to, and then go over back to the cubs again. So yeah, luckily the shadows are drawing longer and longer at the moment, so the temperature is dropping. It would be ideal So Darcy Ann just had a question. How far away is she from her cubs? Darcy, if I had to look, I'm looking in the direction of where the cubs are right now, just behind us over here. Probably, I'd say, about 3.5 kilometers, if it is so far. So not very far away. However, for her to walk back to go and get the cubs and get back here, leaving the kill exposed, there's going to be quite a lot of risk losing the kill. And also, that with the cubs being so small, they are always at risk of being close to a kill. There's always just a higher chance of jackals being around, or brown hyenas, or maybe a leopard rocking up, or even a spotted hyena coming around. So not the greatest idea to go and get them, and rather just stay here, finish the kill, and then go back to the cubs. But she's not very far away. So if she needs to get back there, I want to say, if she really wants to, 15-20 minutes, and she'll be there. I mean, when they start moving, those long legs can really move, even though they're just walking. They can clock quite the pace. So yeah, very cool. And it's nice to know that they're not too far away. I do, however, want her to, finish with the kill and get back, or be on her way back before it's sunset, just to eliminate any possibilities of, hyenas starting to move around while she's not with them, or things like that. Not that I'm worried that there's something that's going to happen to them, but where they are stashed right now is not too far away from where there's a relatively prominent waterhole. So with that being the case, there is going to be predators coming from all sorts of directions to get to the waterhole, and I just don't want them to bump into the cubs without the mom being there. But I mean, she's been doing so well. I doubt that she'll leave them alone for too long. I'm pretty sure she'll bulk up on the meat and then head back as soon as she can. Like you saw earlier as well, luckily she chose a really good hiding spot. So something's literally going to have to walk through that bush before they discover the little ones, if they're not really going to just spot them by moving past it. But yeah, just a good day today. Lions vocalizing this morning, cheetah this afternoon. Can't really ask for anything more than that.
From the cheetahs, who seems very happy because they have a meal, back to our lions, who seems a little bit active because it's beginning to rain. can see one of the lioness grooming herself, actually licking, cleaning herself. The one is rolling over, sign of excitement, while this young male is carefully watching them. A big yawn. She's growling at him. I'm not sure if she doesn't want him closer, but it's a sign lions do always when they're mating. So the lioness with the collar came back, and she's showing signs of mating. She might be in estrus, and she's trying to court this young male here. So this will be super interesting because a week ago, these two lionesses were mating Olalashi, and now because this young male has been accompanying Olalashi, they're also mating with him. Like I told you before, it's a lion trick that they play because they're assured of security when they give birth to their young ones. Sometimes a litter mate consists of 3, so it would be nice after a 3.5-month gestation period to see about 6 cubs who will be new to the LAUR pride. So they have to pick a spot where it's warm enough because it's getting cold because of the rain. Can feel some few drops. So by gathering or crouching together, there's warmth there. And actually behind the termite mound. A little bit of some cleaning there. The lion's tongue play an important role when it comes to cleaning. This is always evident after they've made a kill, after a meal, whereas their faces sometimes are covered with blood, so their tongues come in handy when it comes to cleaning. You also see this kind of behavior, especially in the evening when they wake up to carry on with their night activity. You see them licking their toes and then cleaning their faces. Very nice to see. A little bit of an ear scratch there. So this young male is not given him a name yet, but I'm sure in future we might give him a name. Until lions become independent or prime, that's when they give them names, because we're never assured of how these young males will end up being. But this one seems like he's found a companion, Olalashi, where they'll be walking over, because they have a bond now. They form a tag team where they'll be walking from territory to territory, and that is how lion becomes successful. Not only brothers will make a coalition, but individuals from other prides meet up and form a coalition. So I'm going to sit here and watch these lions. A little bit of a facial groom there. As the rain is falling, watching these lions, I'm going to take you over to another live location.
Well, it has been quite some time since we've seen any cat-like activity here on Pridelands, but there we have a lioness sitting up on the dam wall right outside the eco-training camp. So we're at Ndlovu Dam now, which was my favorite spot in a dry season to sort of sit and wait for animals to arrive. Now, it was quite funny. This morning, Sebastian and I went out. We were very excited because we heard hyenas, and it definitely sounded like they were having an interaction with some cat species, and we were on the hunt to try and find them. But sadly, we didn't win. But then this afternoon, I went back to the same place in hope to see any signs of what happened last night, and we saw lion tracks over our vehicle tracks. But it's been very windy, so obviously they were very windblown, but nonetheless it was quite exciting, and they were heading in this direction. So Seb and I thought, we'll come back to Ndlovu a little bit later after a few loops and laps, and she probably just took refuge behind the dam wall where it's nice and sheltered and out of the wind, and of course it's been quite hot today, so out of the heat of the day, and now she's here, sitting up on the dam wall. I think it is Lagatha, which is a lone lioness that we typically see quite often. She's fairly young. I haven't seen her for quite some time. The last time I think was on I think it was her on the giraffe carcass that was at Kwenga, but... Oh yes, you've had it with Mike, yeah. So she's around, and there are some impala and all sorts of things lurking around, so it'll be quite nice if she does catch a meal. I suspect she might have caught something last night, and that's why she was having an altercation with the hyenas, and perhaps they stole whatever she caught from her. There's loads and loads of impala around, and that's a perfect meal for one lioness. You obviously don't want to draw too much attention to yourself when you're not in a pride. She's left her pride, which is sad in a way. We think she was part of a big pride that unfortunately had one of their main lionesses killed by the two Masungulo males, and I think she might have been worried that she was next, and she dispersed and she ran away along with two younger male lions. I think they might be a bit older than her. They sort of pushed all the way to the west here on Prideland, so they just live out their days. Those two male lions too, they also like to linger around here. But she's just searching. You'll see her every now and then. Her attention is drawn to the camp. All our wonderful chefs and things are starting to prepare dinner, so they are walking around. Not that they have anything to worry about. They're very, very far away from this lioness. But she comes around camp quite often, and she's curious, and she just sort of watches. I mean, today we've had elephants in camp. We've had everything in camp, so very wild out here. So 50, she is such a pretty lioness. I'm sorry that we can't get closer to her. We're probably about 200 meters away from this lioness. You can see we're right across from the most southern edge of Ndlovu Dam. But she stands out like a sore thumb, hey, with a tawny coat against the red earth. Now something's caught her attention behind the dam wall. There could also be lots and lots of prey species, like I said, trying to keep out of the wind. Although now that the light is fading, you might find that they'll come out into the more open areas. Because on a night like tonight, when it is quite windy, you obviously want to be able to see any predators coming towards you. She's such a lovely lioness, but she's sneaky, and she's so hard to find. If we didn't see her tracks this afternoon, and just because she has done this so many times before, I can only work out where she is going to pop up when she comes down to this section of the reserve near camp. She does the same thing. And then, my goodness, it's a nightmare trying to find her. It has been quite challenging on Pridelands, just because we haven't been seeing the cats, every other day. We see them every few weeks, so it's difficult to kind of pinpoint where they're going to pop up. We know that the cats have their favorite spots, but they have their favorite spots without us knowing about them. So it makes it even better when we do find them, because you really do appreciate, the time spent with them. I won't put a spotlight on her this evening, just because there is a lot of impala and prey species around, and if I do that, they're going to see her immediately up on the dam wall. So I apologize that our feed is not going to look fantastic because of the distance that we are from her, and then the fact that I probably won't put a light on her. But I'm sure she's going to be harassed by hyenas soon, because this is also normally the time that they start coming into camp. And that young hyena from last night, some of you may remember, on the sunset safari, was in here just a moment ago, already looking for any students that have left their shoes outside. So we'll see. I'm sure I'll bump into that little one when we park the vehicle in a bit. But even as it starts to get dark, it's pretty cool how she's almost like radiating. She's very pale underneath. You can see underneath her chin going down to her belly. Like I say, I'm not sure if it is Lagatha. I think it is. We're just so far away, and it's a little bit on the dark side. And then the guinea fowls are now giving their last calls before they go to bed. They normally like to roost up in these trees around camp, but they did get a fright a few minutes, or just before we went live with all of you. And they panicked and they squawked, so I think they'll have to find another roosting spot tonight. Okay, I think we're going to try and switch into infrared. It's just the camera's infrared. We don't have a big infrared light. Okay, we're gonna have to count to 3 now. Do I start at 3 or do I start? I'm joking. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully that's all worked out very well there. We'll see. It's a pity I don't think you can hear the guinea fowls in the distance. It's lovely. Yeah, she's not interested in the pala that are next to us anymore. She's very focused on what's behind the dam wall. It's very, very tricky terrain there. There's lots of rocks. There's no roads that run right on the edge of the drainage line. And Lorvu north and south kind of, it's probably about 50 or 60 meters away from the drainage line, so it makes it quite difficult. But I think this will be the end of our lioness as it's getting quite dark, and there are some other people who would like to come and see her.
With the lioness. Hello everybody, you're back with us here in Djuma. Spotlight out. Searching in the darkness. We eventually left our Korhan to his meanderings. He wasn't doing much, just basically shouting to the darkness. And we didn't get him displaying, so you didn't miss much. A lovely evening. Just cooled down just a little bit, but is that time for our nocturnals to come out? Who knows what we might find? Maybe honey badger, although they could have been out already. Theo and I had 2 honey badger just before I left last time, which was very exciting. Checking something out. Question this morning. Some more honey badgers. There's definitely a little hanging around that has been seen regularly. But we're just going to drive into the darkness. Who knows what we might find.
So, alright guys, this is one sneaky little jackal. You should have seen him coming around. He actually used our vehicle as a little bit of a cover to creep up to the cheetah, and as soon as she then turned her back and started feeding again, he actually crept up. You can see how close he is actually to the cheetah and the kill site itself. Very, very sneaky. It's interesting that he hasn't started vocalizing yet, to call other jackals to come in and possibly assist him to try and take over the kill. However, it could just be a greedy jackal that says, I want to rather just wait for the leftovers and have it all to myself. So Corey just had a question, will she kill the jackal, the cheetah now, to protect her kill? If she gets a hold of it, she might, because she's much stronger than the jackal one-on-one. However, she's not going to spend unnecessary energy to pursue the jackal for long distances. to try and grab a hold of it. As soon as he gets too close, she'll chase him off. If she gets a hold of him, she'll kill it. If not, if he just runs away, that'll also be fine. So it's not often that you see that happening. However, I do think it happens here or there. But most of the time, the cheetah just chases them off. You know, even though the jackal is quite small, they still have nasty biters on them. So with that being the case, the cheetah also doesn't really want to risk a confrontation. If she can just chase it off and not have to come or get into a scuffle, and the jackal maybe gets a hold of her foot with his jaws and injures it badly or something like that, if she can avoid that, she will. You know, she's got 3 little ones to think about at the moment as well. So not often that you see them, you know, actively pursuing the animal to try and kill it. They just want to chase it away. I'm very happy that Mom is starting to feed again, because sure, she's really taken quite some time after feeding that first little bit to get into the carcass again. Bobby, you're absolutely right. But we just had a comment from Bobby. Eat up, Mom, eat up. Absolutely, I agree with you. I also want her to fill that stomach and try and get back to the little ones as soon as possible. However, you know, I'm pretty sure she's not going to listen to me. She's going to take her time, or as much time as she needs, to feed and feed properly as well. Always just amazes me how quickly these jackals become aware of the kill site. Glenn and I was talking about it earlier, and we don't know whether this jackal was just very lucky and the kill was made close to the bush where he was lying for the day, and if he really was moving and looking or heard the scuffle and came to investigate, as hot as it was earlier when the kill was made. So it could have been him just hitting the jackpot, being lucky, being close enough to just be close when the kill happened, or whether he's hungry enough to be moving during the warmer parts of the day as well. Beautiful, that coat on their back, eh? That almost a silvery dash of coloration on top of the back. Very close to the same effect that the baby cheetahs has. If you look at that coat, the baby cheetah's not too different. I mean, obviously they've got the spots, but they also have that whitish coloration on top, which the guys believe is sort of almost a detergent, because then they look like honey badgers. Yeah, just beautiful, beautiful coat. This one looks like a younger jackal. I think it's probably one that got kicked out from his mom and dad beginning of this year or so, or when they were ready to do so. It definitely doesn't look like an adult yet. That's probably why it hasn't started vocalizing to call friends. It doesn't have friends of its own yet. He still needs to make some. But yeah, guys, even though we're saying, well, you know, it doesn't look like she's doing much, have a look at how that hindquarters is almost, the bum is already completely finished. So she's, without us noticing it, she's packing away the meat. And it's also going to get much more comfortable for her to feed at this time of the day when it's nice and cool. Everything is just more comfortable when it's like this. So yeah. Beautiful, beautiful way to have the sunset and have a cheetah eating with a jackal lying next to the car. That's just how you want to end your day. And yeah, guys, on that note, it has become time for us to say goodnight or goodbye for now. It has been wonderful having all of you join us on the safari over Southern Africa and East Africa. And we hope to see you all again tomorrow morning. Remember, we are on channel 183 on DSTV. But you can also follow us on Twitter and YouTube. So it would be great to see you guys tomorrow. It's been lovely having you with us. And yeah, we're just going to enjoy the sunset now. And we'll all see you tomorrow morning at 5:30 to come and see what the bush has to offer then. Don't know what the plans are yet. Maybe meerkats, maybe lions again. We'll see. We'll see what the bush tells us. Okay? So we'll be with you, and we're looking forward to that.
My favorite bird has to be the social weaver. The enormous nest that they create, their survival tactics to inhabit these harsh and unforgiving environments, and as well as their complex social arrangements, is truly remarkable. And the interconnectedness with the ecosystem shows us that we are too. Join me on my next adventure with Wild Earth in the African wild on channel 183 DSTV.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.